Welcome to the Lost Lowdown, podcast number 26, with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We are here today with our podcast about episode 315, Expose, which everyone was exposed in this episode. The title had a lot of meanings. Charlie was exposed. Nikki was exposed. Her breasts were exposed. Well, I mean, almost. Everything. I think it's one of those things that the writers like to do with those double meanings, multiple meanings.
Right, and of course, it was also the TV show.
Yeah. The TV show. A lot of things. I guess it's really just one of those words that really fits on the show because they expose a lot of things every episode, really. So.
Mm-hmm.
We found out a lot of stuff, a lot of really interesting things. This episode was almost like a mini The Other 48 Days. You know, it was flashback heavy, and it gave us a chance to see what was going on from a different perspective.
Right.
Definitely wasn't as good as Another 48 Days, but
yeah.
How could you beat that?
You can't beat that. It's impossible. Unless, I guess that maybe they could have done something to beat it, but these characters didn't have a chance.
Yeah, didn't have a chance. And didn't monopolize on the chance they had.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone knows that there's this whole percentage of Lost fans out there who just really hate Nikki and Paulo, and, we're no exception. I think it's really interesting to have characters just so vilified throughout their entire existence on a show, and it's really, like we've talked about before, when they just popped out of nowhere, it was like, they didn't seem to deserve to be on the show. Everyone else had sort of earned it. Even the crappier characters still put in their time, and then here come these two, crazies, and we're supposed to just like take them seriously. And then in this episode, which, Carlton and Damon pretty much explicitly said, this is the episode where we'll find out about Nikki and Paulo, and then presumably, be interested in them, something that can help ground us and why these characters are on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't sort of pull through. At the end of the episode, I was like, that's it? Are you serious? Like, and then, of course, I'm sure there were plenty of people who were jumping up for joy when Nikki and Paulo were apparently buried alive. But, I didn't really like that. I didn't really like that ending for various reasons I guess we'll talk about later. How did you feel about the episode?
Overall, I really enjoyed it. I wanted to point out a lot of people actually really hated Ana Lucia in Season 2.
That's true. That's true.
She got, like, a lot of... And I hated her initially, too. But the thing you have to get to Ana Lucia is that she had a lot of screen time to develop her character, and, she had a personality, whether you liked it or not. And these characters basically didn't have identities until this episode, so I wasn't quite ready to totally judge them until I knew who they were, because it didn't seem like they really had a chance to... Ana Lucia you hated because of who she was. But these people you hated and you just didn't even know who they were.
Yeah, but I think what also got me was the fact that what little screen time Nick and Paulo did have before this episode, it was all crappy. It's not like they gave them a chance to be like really interesting or funny or something like that during those little bits that they had. They just not only did we not see them or know who they were, but when we did see them, they just were crappy.
Right.
And then we get more crap in this episode.
Mm-hmm. I thought this episode was very much reminiscent of like maybe a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Oh, that ending! Oh my God, it was so Tales from the Crypt.
The way it was constructed, it was just like what they did, and how they ended up, being buried alive. Like it's just this classic, like old school kind of. With jealousy and
because
and
I mean, in the end, the bad guys get something bad that happens to them, and you don't care too much because they're bad,
right?
And it's totally Tales from the Crypt,
yeah. That's what it reminded me. There's also this Stephen King short story called Autopsy Room 4 about this golfer guy who gets bitten by this snake that puts him in essentially the state that they're in, and he ends up on the operating table. He sort of wakes up on the operating table and realizes he can't move, and anyway, that's the whole short story.
Yikes!
So kind of similar to this.
It was It was an operation table or an autopsy table?
Autopsy table.
Oh, okay, because they
What
were.
did I say?
I think you said operating table or something.
Operating table. Yeah, no, I'm not in the autopsy room. Number
Nice.
4. And
Number
he's
4.
They're about to do the autopsy, and he wakes up and whatever. He can't move, obviously. So
That actually happened in an episode of Heroes. Very, very similar with Claire, who her body can regenerate itself and heal all wounds, and she gets attacked, and she falls to the ground, and this huge piece of like wood, this branch or something pierces her skull, and she's apparently dead. And so she gets taken to the hospital and then to the morgue, and the autopsy person pulls out the stick, which sort of stops her from being dead, and then her body heals herself. So when she wakes up, her chest is split open, and it's pretty crazy, pretty similar thing.
And also for another Lost reference, there was that subplot or that backstory from Question Mark where Echo was investigating that. That girl, the kid of the daughter of the psychic who drowned, and she ended up coming alive on the autopsy table also.
Yeah.
In the middle of
the
autopsy.
It's sort of similar to when Ben woke up during his surgery.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's waking up when they should be dead or unconscious.
Yeah, no, I in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if this episode really does anything, but on its own, I liked it. I enjoyed how it manipulated me, and I found it to be entertaining. I enjoyed all the meta dialogue and stuff. It was very reminiscent of what they used to do in season 2, and just very overtly commenting on what the episode is about in a way. And that was kind of cool. And yeah, no, I really liked the ending. I found it satisfying. Not because I'm rejoicing because they died. I just liked the way it played out. I enjoyed the revelation that the fact that they were dead was shocking enough to me. But then maybe they're not dead, and then they're really not dead, but they're buried alive. I don't know. I liked how that played out. It was nice.
Yeah.
But in terms of Lost, I don't know. They could probably leave this out of the season. And actually, I listened to the official podcast this week, and I think maybe at some point, maybe towards the end, I should say something about what they said about this episode and Nikki and Paulo in general.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that they're somehow going to be back on the show. It just seems like a waste. It just seems like if this is where their story ends, there was really no point.
Yeah.
They really didn't make any big contributions to their time in the island. So I feel like somehow they're coming back. But I did like, when I first watched it, I did like the ending. I definitely liked how the story played out. But I just thought, being buried alive was just too cruel. Just sort of too cruel for Lost, and just in general, that it's worse than getting shot. It's you're tortured before you die.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't really like how, I'll just go ahead and sort of blame the editing. I just didn't like how it seemed like Nikki woke up, pretty much after the first, shovel of dirt on her, yet she wasn't able to say anything or move where they could, notice before they piled 6 feet of dirt on top of her.
Yeah.
I thought that just came off weird, and I'll assume it's just a sort of editing thing.
Yeah.
That maybe her eyes opened or something like that. I just feel like they would have saw that, If she would have done anything, they would have saw it. Because I thought that's what they were going to do. Her eyes open just in time. And she says, no, and then, they stop, and then, everybody, and then we can have this episode and have them do more stuff later. But
right.
I don't know how. I mean, they've got to be dead. I mean, 6 feet of dirt,
Oh,
even if they could scream, you wouldn't hear it, and they wouldn't be able to get him out in time. So
yeah. No, I'm firmly convinced they're dead, just based on this episode. But I thought like that shot of her opening her eyes, like I really liked it. But yeah, it does play out like she opened her eyes too soon. For them not to notice.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I liked the shot, so like that was effective, even if it's kind of not realistic.
Yeah, to me, it seemed that like the shot was supposed to be more psychological, more of her like awareness of what's going on than like her eyes really opened.
Yeah, maybe that's the right way to take it.
Because her eyes were only closed because Sawyer closed them. Otherwise, her eyes would have been open. And
you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But all right, let's get into the episode here. First scene, we have Nikki running breakneck speed through the jungle. It's one of those classic ways Lost likes to start some of their episodes with somebody doing something action oriented because it's great. It really hooks the audience. And then we see her stop to bury something, and then we have our first flashback. We see Nikki on stage as Corvette, this stripper in this fairly sleazy club, and then she notices a guy walking in at the back of the room, and she goes in to follow him, and then we get our first glimpse that no, Nikki is not a real stripper. She's an actress on a TV show. This is, to me, one of the funniest scenes in a very long time. When she comes in and she sees, when I first saw all that money in the case, I was like, wow, that's pretty ridiculous. And then when she's like, that's the money for the orphanage, I'm like, that's really ridiculous. And then she like called him the Cobra, and I'm like, okay. And I think by then the music started playing or something, and it was pretty obvious what was going on. But I love when, she's like, oh, that means you're the Cobra, Mr. Lashard, And then the like hired muscle, tries to attack her, and she goes razzle dazzle. That to me was like one of the funniest things ever. Oh, actually, hold on for 1 second.
Razzle dazzle.
There it is. Razzle dazzle.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Like when she said that's the money for the orphanage, that's when they lost me as far as believing that this was real. Like I instantly thought, okay, she's doing like a movie or something. I didn't necessarily think TV show initially, but whatever. Basically the idea occurred to me like she's filming something here. This is too silly.
Yeah.
And when she said razzle,
man, different actors have and different characters get sort of free passes by doing something cool or something. And honestly, Nikki has a pass from me. I can never truly hate her ever again because she said razzle dazzle, and not only that, like the way she says it, like it's like razzle dazzle, like it's so like cartoon ridiculous. Like, yeah, she's man, she really got me with that. I listened to that a lot, like razzle dazzle.
Like, we don't need to discuss this for too long, but, like, this show is crazy, first of all. Second of all, like, is that, like, do you think that's supposed to be a thing that they say on the show, like, all the time? Or was that some weird distraction thing? Or, like, why would she say that?
I think it's supposed to be, sort of a word she uses when she's attacking. It's sort of like the idea that she's saying that word is part of her, attack,
Okay.
And I think it's supposed to be sort of reminiscent, at least I thought of, like the old Batman show where, bam, boom, kapam, things like that. Of course, I don't know if, like, it's supposed to be Corvette's, like, signature line, or if, like, I guess it would make more sense if that's just sort of her line, and then the other, Autumn and, who is it? Autumn and Crystal, who are the main characters. Maybe they have their own line. But, man, razzle dazzle, it's gold. It's gold.
It is, indeed.
All right. Yeah, that was the best thing. I think we said that off podcast. That was, Oh, we didn't say this off podcast, but I think it's the best thing since Jack's line about Sawyer.
Oh.
When he's like, yeah, Kate, I'd love to go check Sawyer out, but we both know all I'm going to get for my trouble is a snappy one-liner, and if I'm real lucky, a brand new nickname. That was probably one of the best things Jack ever said.
Jack. Yeah, you'll never beat that.
You won't.
I want to mention, just for all you people out there, I considered saying razzle dazzle in the intro to this podcast, but decided against it because I thought it might be too silly. But
Nice.
I almost did it.
You know, that would have been really funny if you did that.
It was going to be your host, Claude and Justin, razzle dazzle!
Nice. You should have done that. That would have been hilarious.
I don't know. At the last minute, I chickened out, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. You can imagine how funny that would have been. Go back and edit it in yourself.
Yeah. We recommend Audacity for editing your... Alright. So, blah, blah, blah. This scene plays out like it should. She knocks the guy out, but then she gets shot by Billy D. Williams, who was playing Mr. Lashard, a.k.a. the Cobra. Mm-hmm. Or I should say, the Cobra, a.k.a. Mr. Lashard.
Perhaps, yeah.
And then Autumn and Crystal come in, and what I think was an interesting little twist, the Cobra basically says that, or Mr. Lashard says that, Autumn and Crystal, that Corvette was working for the Cobra. So not only did he kill, their friend and their, ally, he, basically said she was working for the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I personally want to believe that some elements of this show, expose, are reflective of what's going on Lost in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a couple, I was trying to think of how that could be. I mean, one of the biggest things is the idea that someone, you are working with turns out to be a bad guy, and particularly in this instance, the head bad guy.
Yeah.
And to me, the sort of analogous thing to that for Lost would be if, which is, I think, preposterous, but if we found out, for instance, that Jacob is really Jack.
Yeah.
Which I tried to rationalize how that could be true, and there really isn't any good way that could be true unless Jack just doesn't know that he's Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of split personality thing.
And, Shepard isn't even on Jacob's list. I mean, that'd be kind of weird if he is Jacob.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You would have to factor into the idea that not everybody knows what Jacob even looks like.
Yeah, okay.
So, I don't buy that, but I think something like that might be going on. They in this episode they hint at the idea that Nikki and Paulo were working for the others,
mm-hmm.
Which we find out, of course, that they how they got the walkie-talkie.
Right.
But I think the writers might still be hinting that somebody's working with the others. I can definitely see obviously Michael did it. I can see them doing that again. And it can be one of those things. Next week on Lost, someone is a traitor.
Mm-hmm. I think, it could just be someone we implicitly trust, and not necessarily Jack, but someone we think we would never even consider should be working for the others.
I'm looking at you, Rose.
Yeah. Oh God. Rose is Jacob. That's my crackpot theory of the week.
Nice. I'm going to say Vincent is Jacob.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Vincent.
Okay, so the scene wraps, and, everyone claps for Nikki. She's done. It's basically, she has just filmed the season finale of expose, and we get the sense that she was a guest star. Presumably, she had a couple of episodes. And we find out that she's dating the director Howard, and little May-December romance there.
Oh yeah,
or more like
May-December,
January, December, December of the next year. Long way away. So, and then of course we find out she's in Sydney, and that's why she's in Sydney before she gets on the plane.
Right.
The next scene we have Sawyer and Hurley playing ping pong, which I was really hoping they would never go back to. But I think they did the golf thing twice.
Yep.
They showed it twice, and I think the third time they had like a casual reference.
Yep.
So hopefully this is the second time they'll show the ping pong, and then later we'll get like a casual reference to the ping pong.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll never have to actually see it again.
Hopefully.
I mean, I can't imagine them really playing another game like they did. I mean, what would be the point?
No. And even when they had the full game, we barely saw any of it.
Yeah.
So, we haven't had to sit through too much of it, but I could see it like playing in the background or something the next time, and then like never again.
Yeah. Hurley's of course winning because he is really good at ping pong, and then Nikki runs out of the jungle all frantic and passes out as she says something that we hear as para eyes that whole thing. And then Hurley pronounces that Nikki's dead, and then Sawyer says, "Who the hell is Nikki?"
Mm-hmm.
Which was one of the many times in this episode he really irked me with something like that. We already, he said that before, a couple episodes ago, during the ping pong, speaking of ping pong, during the ping pong tournament when Nikki, protests that what Sawyer's playing for is not even his, he says,
Mm-hmm.
"Who the hell are you?" Which, of course, as we talked about, it was, the writer sort of nodding to what the fans were saying. But they didn't get, again, Sawyer says, "Who the hell is Nikki?" And, it's obvious that Hurley's talking about this dead girl right here. So that was the first time that he irked me with that, and then he did it like 2 more times in the episode. So I don't know what's going on with that. Do you have any idea why they kept making Sawyer so unaware who Nikki and Paolo were?
It was meta dialogue. I mean, they really liked that, I guess, and just wanted to run. I liked it in that part because having him say, "Who the hell's dude? Nikki's dead. Who the hell's Nikki?" Cut it was, to me, it was nice because it sort of underscores the fact that we barely care about these characters and they're dead. Who are they? You know what I mean? I don't know. I thought it worked, even though Sawyer shouldn't say it that much, but. In that particular instance, I thought it was a nice touch.
I mean, I'll buy it in this one specifically because when he said, "Who the hell are you?" I don't think she said, "I'm Nikki," So I don't know if he ever got an answer to his question before. But I don't know. After spending more than 80 days on an island, with these people, and I feel like he would. Especially after this, that she's dead, he would know what her name was, and I felt like they were going overboard. Maybe it's just Sawyer's nickname thing. They just overused it. They were just he was saying the wrong names, when he did try to say the name, and then I don't know. I just thought it was so much that I thought they were making a bigger point than just the fans don't care about them, Which in an episode where we're supposed to be caring about them and are about to find out about them, that seems to be a weird point to try to keep driving home. Oh, you guys don't care about these, Nikki and Paolo. You don't care about them. You don't care about them, but you guys want us to care about them because we're watching an episode about them. So, Just thought that was weird. So the next scene, we have Nikki and Howard eating breakfast, and we find out that Paolo is Howard's chef. And that he, basically begged for the job every single day until he was hired, which later we find out that's all part of the con that's going on here. We find out that Howard was married, and we find out, I think later we find out some other stuff about Howard, and yeah, it's in the airport scene. So Howard ends up dying, and Nikki grabs the key from his neck, and we basically find out that Paolo poisoned him, and that they are after something very valuable. Like I said, she grabs the key from his neck, and then they go. The next scene, they open a safe in the back, and they find this Russian nesting doll, and inside it is diamonds, which I thought was very, what's the word? Not cliche, even though it is cliche, but like almost like like you were saying with the ending, or sort of with the episode in general being like being like Tales from the Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the diamonds were like, just like Expose was really sort of cliche and like zany. Like the idea that they're after diamonds, sort of, even though it's sort of cliche, it sort of falls in line with what they're doing.
Right.
Like they're doing all this for diamonds. Oh, how boring, but it seems to be in line with how they're sort of writing, the different plot lines in the episode.
Yeah, the tone of the episode is very. The whole tone of the episode is very strange. It's like there really hasn't been an episode like this before.
Yeah.
And I wanted to point out that Wolfgang Puck of Brazil line, which was like one of the most ridiculous meta lines I think in the episode. Like finding a way to work in that whole Tom Cruise of Brazil thing.
Oh, what's the Tom Cruise of Brazil thing?
The thing I've been reading about Rodrigo Santoro ever since I heard he was joining the show is that he's the Tom Cruise of Brazil.
Oh.
Like every article I read about him joining the show said that, and so that was the thing that was following him around, and so when he calls him the Wolfgang Puck of Brazil, that was a reference to that. So I guess if you weren't aware of it, it didn't really do much for you, but it was really shocking to me.
Yeah, I didn't remember that, but I thought he was just basically saying how, obviously he is trying to say how good he is as a chef. I thought it was sort of weird that he was that good of a chef, and maybe he's exaggerating, I don't know, but I just wonder, we don't really know too much about their backstories, besides, this little escapade in Australia. And I wonder if he really was a chef, was his full-time job a chef, or did he go to culinary school and all that kind of stuff, which I guess if they really wanted to do, we could find out one day, more about their backstory before they got to Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the next scene, we're back at the beach. Son Charlie Hurley and Sawyer are with Nikki, and they're trying to figure out what happened to her. Hurley, they're trying to figure out what she said, and Hurley says, "Oh, Paolo lies, Paolo lies." And then I think we get Sawyer's other line here, "Who is Paolo?" And they, this is the first sort of bit of misdirection here about what's going on, and surrounding their deaths, and we sort of wonder if Paolo has something to do with it. The next scene, we have Nikki and Paolo at the airport in the flashback. They're reading Howard's obituary, and we learn his full name was Howard L. Zuckerman, and he worked on, created Expose, Strike Team Alpha, and Dr. Kincaid Esquire, all very sort of B TV shows sounding, Dr. Kincaid Esquire, I'd love that. Dr. Kincaid Esquire, PhD, MD, like, I don't know. Got a lot, seems like he's doing a lot there. And we find out that he died from heart failure, so presumably whatever Paolo poisoned him with caused the autopsy to make it appear that it was heart failure. So, which is good, so that basically means that the police aren't after them, they're not fugitives, like Kate. So they pull off their heist, fairly well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we learn that Paolo has quit smoking, and he's starting to chew nicotine gum, which of course they're setting up for, this whole thing with the bag and the diamonds. Then in comes our two favorite people, Boone and Shannon. Of course, Shannon is berating Boone about something really meaningless. They can't, find a seat down there in the little courtyard area, and Shannon. I just love when Shannon's just like, Boone, Boone, Boone. She's just like, man, you just want to slap her, like, shut up. It's great. It's nice to see Shannon. Shannon at her best, doing what she does so well. And Boone goes up to, I almost called him Rodrigo. He goes up to Paulo and asked to borrow the chair, and Shannon's just like, forget it, let's just go. And this was sort of a meaningless cameo, this scene, having them together here at the airport. Now, one of the things for those who listen to the official podcast, the last, not the most recent one, but the one before that, Carlton and Damon said that the quote gay lost character would be in this episode, but they also said the character won't of course be like, hey, I'm gay. So I think there's two possibilities of who that character is in this episode. Who do you think it is, Justin? Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't really know, but the one that I've read about is Boone, based on this line that Shannon has. Yeah,
I mean, of course, Shannon tells him, after he asked for the chair from Paolo, oh, come on, stop if you weren't, flirting with random guys, blah blah blah, and of course, she's apparently made similar comments before.
Yeah, she intimated some kind of relationship between him and Locke back in season 1.
Yeah.
I never took her seriously. I thought she was just, saying that to be a bitch.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I really noticed Ian Somerhalder in was Rules of Attraction, in which he did play a gay character, or bisexual at the least, and so I really can't. That's really, how I see him, and when I first saw him in Lost, I thought he was sort of gonna do another character like that, and then when Shannon did say that about him and Locke, I'm like, oh well, maybe they are going that way with him. But then of course, he had the whole thing where he, really was in love with Shannon, and of course they had sex. So you wonder how that factors into everything.
Right.
I don't personally.
I guess he could just be bisexual, or maybe it's just Shannon and no other, girls or whatever.
Yeah, I personally don't think, if a guy has sex with one woman, that means that he's, straight forever, or like it sort of negates that if he's, is gay. So.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I think his thing with Shannon was very specific. I think there was more going on than just like a physical attraction. I think there was this like weird emotional and mental thing going on there. So I guess most people probably think it's Boone. I think it's somebody else. Yes, that I will bring up later.
Is this a teaser?
It is a teaser, mister.
Oh dear. Well, I'll have to keep listening.
It's a teaser pleaser. Yeah, keep listening and find out. I feel like this is like a morning talk show. When we come back from commercial break, Claude's going to tell us who he thinks the gay character.
Can I guess who you think it is?
Yes.
Paulo.
No. Although, I did sort of think that, when I first saw Paulo, I guess I just think everyone's gay. You're gay until proven innocent. I don't know. But I asked that about Paulo, when I first saw him, and then of course he's got the whole thing with Nikki. I don't think Paulo is the gay one at all. No.
Okay. I don't either, but
good guess,
it was
though.
just a guess.
Good guess. No, that's a valid guess. Value guess? That's weird. Why did I say that?
What else can I guess? Let me think.
Oh, no more guessing. Guessing time's over. Yeah, you had one guess, buddy.
Okay. I would have chosen more wisely. No, I wouldn't have. Anyway.
All right. Next scene, flashback. It's right after the plane crash on the beach. Shannon screaming. Nikki is running around looking for Paulo. We see, Jack helping people, and Rose, sort of unconscious, and Locke, the whole thing we all remember from the beginning of season 1. Yeah. And I'd like to give a round of applause to the editors and effects artists for pretty much seamlessly integrating this new footage with the old footage. I really bought a lot of those shots when I'm like, I know Nikki's not there. She wasn't there, when they really shot this. But they did a really good job making it seem like she was really there, and then interacting and being part of, that sort of the little timeline of events there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. I could see, like Boone and Shannon's hair are both different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
From what they were, and like I could tell the old footage, like Jen's hair is short too. Like
yeah,
that must be
it's
old.
weird. It is weird because I it was a good chance to get to see the old how they used to look and how they look now, close together. And
Yeah.
everybody looks radically different.
Yeah, Locke kind of looks different too. It's all, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good overall. I think, it was nicely done. And I guess it was good that they decided to use some of the old footage because it sort of ties it together better than to just like shoot all new scenes and
exactly.
try to convince us that those were the originals.
Because man, if they made any mistake, people would be like, "Oh, look at this." Okay, or if not necessarily a mistake, but like something's different,
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Oh, look at this thing. We just found out that blah blah, did this too. He's supposed to be over here helping Rose, and now he's over here doing this, and what does that mean?" And yeah, I think they made a wise decision. We'll let them keep their jobs for another week. So yeah, we're gentlemen. Nikki ends up finding Paulo, and he's staring at the beach, out into the ocean, sort of in shock, of course. And next scene, we got Jen, Hurley, and Sawyer. They're traipsing through the jungle, and they find Paulo, and he's apparently dead. And one of the things that struck me when they found Paulo was that his eyes were open. Of course, throughout the episode, we get these shots of Nikki and Paulo with their open eyes, and it just really dawned on me that it seemed like if they had really died, their eyes would be closed. Generally speaking. So I thought that was. Plus, it was just really creepy to see them staring out blankly like that. All those different shots was really, really nicely done. But I was also thinking that it's too bad Arntz got blown up because if he was around, he might have been able to deduce that they were paralyzed. Because he knows about what the spider can do.
Oh yeah.
Since he's the one who told her what it can do.
Indeed.
But too bad he's blown into chunks out near the Black Rock.
Yeah.
Sawyer, says, I'm guessing that's Paulo when they find him, and again, I thought to myself, after 80 days, you've never heard the name Paulo. Like, I don't know. I guess it just bugged me that he was that unaware. I don't know. I like to think he's smarter than that, or more in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
The next scene is a continuation. They find Paulo that Paulo's pants are undone, and that his shoe is in a tree, and it's one of those classic, murder scenes where things are sort of weird and strange. Then later you find out how it happened, and it's usually pretty sort of mundane and normal. It's like, why would his pants be undone? Why is a shoe in a tree? And then you find out later why, and it's like, oh yeah, that's really that's really simple. It makes sense, and I like those little revelations because it's nice to see how something happened, but then they show you the aftermath first. So Jen goes to grab Paulo's water, and Sawyer stops him and pours it out. And I really hate to think Jen was really just going to go take a drink, but I guess that's the idea. He was just, oh, this guy's dead, I'm thirsty, and but he pours it out, and then Hurley protests that that Sawyer's messing up the crime scene and the evidence, and then Jen suggests that Smokey was the culprit, was the one who killed Paulo. Which, of course, in this episode, almost every scene when it's really like Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys or something team up with, like, Ghost Rider. I don't know, like, the kids from Ghost Rider. It's just, like, all these people trying to figure out this little murder mystery, and everyone has their own theory, and everyone, and it's, I don't know, it plays out like a little detective story.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to find clues and trying to think of, motives and stuff like that. It's a really weird episode. It's very strange, very strange. So the next scene, flashback, Nikki and Paulo, they're on the beach. They're sorting through all the luggage. We find that at this point in this scene, it's been 6 days. Then we get a little cameo from our favorite other, Ethan. He comes out wearing a Wisconsin sweatshirt. Strangely, I don't know what the point of that was. Because Henry Gill was from Minnesota. Okay, I'm just trying to think of Wisconsin connections, and I couldn't think of any. But so he comes out and basically he gives them in my opinion, a very strange offer that if they need any clothes, he can get them some. I don't know. That just came off really weird. Like, I don't know. It's just really, hey, it's like, hey, if you need clothes, come to me. I'm the clothes man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of all the things to say, yeah, he goes, did you lose your luggage? Yeah, I lost mine too. I found some other stuff, though. So if you need anything, pants or a sweatshirt, I can help you find something that'll fit. And it's just weird. It just comes off creepy. Like, okay.
Yeah, definitely creepy.
I don't want any clothes that you just ran. I don't know where your clothes have been, mister.
It was interesting because I think in the general timeline, this is 6 days in. I don't think we had seen Ethan this early in the season 1 episode.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't think he showed up until episode 9, which presumably is about 9 days in. So it was interesting to see. I wonder how close this is to when he got there. I don't know, but yeah.
It's probably a couple days after he got there. I mean, if he hightailed it to the south, well, I guess it depends on how he got there.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed, from the season premiere, it seemed like he was gonna run over there, but I guess he could have taken some other mode of transportation a good portion of the way. So, I guess it depends.
Right.
Depends on how he got there, but it definitely would have.
Like he was just gonna run.
Yeah, it seemed like he was just gonna run there. Yeah. But you think, I don't know. You think he would have wanted to take in supplies or some water? Or
Yeah,
of course, that scene is really all about the immediacy. So it's not like he's going to be,
right.
Ben's going to be, Ethan, you go there, and you go there, and then he's going to be, okay, I'll go there in a second. I got to go get my shoes.
Right.
I got to go get my toothbrush, so.
Kind of kills the momentum.
It
Yeah,
does.
I guess maybe we're supposed to just let that go.
Yeah. So after that, the hubbub over the water erupts, and then Jack gives his live together, die alone speech. It's really weird. This is like time traveling. It's like, you're in the 1800s America, and you're just like walking around, and oh look, there's Lincoln giving his Gettysburg Address.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just it's so seminal. When you from our perspective.
Right.
So it's really crazy to see it from Nikki and Paolo's perspective. They're just like, oh, look at this guy talking. What's he up to? What are these guys doing?
Yeah, I was amazed. This whole drama. Boone took the water, and Charlie, whatever. I remember all this stuff happening, and then Jack shows up and makes his big speech. And it's weird how in this episode, when I watched it, I was just thinking like, Jack, who are you? What are you talking about? Like from their perspective, like, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
You're not my leader. I mean, we all grew to think of him that way, but like the way we see him in this episode, he just like steps up and makes a speech, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care what you have to say. I'm sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
It's not like, I know you're going through a moving moment where you're accepting leadership, but like it doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
In this like context. So it was kind of weird to see something that was like really dramatic, and when we were with his character, and when you just see it from the sidelines, it's like, who are you grandstanding like this? Like whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Dun-dun-dun. One of the things I want, a quick question I want to ask in general was, I wonder, from sort of seeing his speech again about living together, die alone. I wonder if the fact that at least this far, the Losties have been able to sort of peacefully coexist with minimal fighting, minimal infighting. I wonder if that's going to look favorably to the others, because presumably the people that they haven't taken are sort of bad. But I wonder if they've worked together pretty well. There's an occasional kidnapping of your fellow Lostie. and a little, theft and stuff like that. But they've worked together pretty well, and so I just
think
wonder.
The early days were the worst.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better. I just wonder if the others are gonna or even care to take that into consideration. That they may be like, oh, well, these guys aren't too bad. They've been made, make the best of a bad situation.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they will, but they should.
They should. I'm gonna write ABC and tell them that.
Do it.
Next scene, we have Hurley. Let's see, it's Hurley, Jen, and Sawyer moving the bodies. Hurley is picking up from where Jen left off. He's thinking, it's Smokey. So, and then we get this line again about Echo right before he dies, saying, you're next. And Hurley says he thinks, Nikki and Paulo are next because they were there when he died. And then Sawyer says he's thinking they mean that Echo meant you all are next. So, I mean, my opinion on that is that, Echo, I find it hard to believe that Echo would know that Nikki and Paulo were next. So what do you think?
And besides that, I thought it meant next by the smoke monster. Which
Yeah.
they didn't die by. So.
Exactly. Next by the smoke monster. I guess it could just meant next in general, like next to die. But it definitely seemed like he meant next by the smoke monster because that's how he died. Now, of course, as we'll talk about, Smokey might have had some involvement in what happened.
Yeah, he does make a slight cameo, I guess.
A little cameo.
But he didn't jump out and slam anybody into any trees or anything.
No.
So it was a weird involvement, whatever it was. But yeah, I don't know. I took it as you were all next. Like the smoke monster is going to kill all of you now. Like that's what I thought he meant.
Yeah, that's how I take it too. And then, oh, do you want to say something else?
Sorry, no.
Oh, and then they're talking about Nikki and Paulo, and Sawyer calls them Nina and Pablo, and Hurley goes, "Dude, you know their names. Show some respect." And again, I ask, why does Sawyer do that? I don't know. Flashback scene next. Nikki goes to see Ernst, and he tells her that he's discovered 20 new species and he'll be the next Darwin. And I'm thinking, oh really? Will you really be the next Darwin? You really discovered 20 new species? There are literally like millions of different kinds of animals and various species of insects and stuff. And I'm really wondering if he really knows them all enough to know which ones are new. Like, if he sees a spider, he can tell, well, this spider out of the 50,000 types of spiders that have been discovered, like this one has never been discovered before. I thought I don't know. Of course we're not supposed to really care about that, but I thought that was pretty presumptuous of him. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he was just bullshitting, just doing, he was talking a big game about, there's going to be a monsoon, you better leave tomorrow, and he was going on and on about the dynamite that killed him, and it just seems like he doesn't really know what he's talking about. So, I think he's grandstanding for Nikki to some extent, and, maybe he even believes it, but I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows enough to say that. No way.
Yeah. The same thing, when Nikki asked him, she wants him to help her figure out where her luggage might have landed given the trajectory of the plane when it was crashing. And, I'm like, he knows, how is he really going to draw her a map? I mean, he knows nothing about the landscape or the size and orientation of the island. He doesn't know where the plane started to break apart, anything about the wind currents at the time. How accurate could this map really be?
Yeah, well,
he did. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But of course, he eventually draws her a map, but doesn't lead them to where the luggage is.
Mm-mm.
But so the next scene, we have Nikki and Paulo following this map, and Paulo, as he should, wonders about the abilities of this high school science teacher. But no. as Nikki says, he's a junior high teacher, which, in my opinion, seems like it would be worse.
Yeah, as if that makes it better.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird. That's the kind of exchange where you would expect Paulo to say, you know, should we really be trusting the abilities of a junior high school teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And Nikki goes, oh, he's a high school teacher, you know, and it's the kind of thing where it's seemingly better, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much better. So,
Yeah.
you know, she makes her point, but she sort of doesn't, and voila, you have good writing. But they
Right.
reversed it, which was really interesting.
Yeah, it was like, first of all, I need to correct you. Second of all, yes, we should still trust him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, should we trust this firefighter, or should we trust this guy who is going to be a firefighter if he can only pass that damn exam? You know, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But and that was the whole thing too. You know, back when he was predicting monsoons, you know, people were wondering. You know, he's a high school science teacher. Nothing against high school science teachers, of course. You know, obviously they know, you know, a great deal about you know, their chosen field. How much they know about these various fields that they, you know, kind of aren't really teaching. You know, we didn't really learn how to predict monsoons when I was in junior high, nor did we learn about the etymology of spiders and stuff like that. But of course,
You went to the wrong junior high.
apparently I went to the wrong junior high. I should have went to Arndt's Junior High, because I'm sure it's named after him since he's so great.
It must be.
You, sir. We shall have no other teacher but you at our school. Kids will only learn science. As you teach it so well, it doesn't matter that they know nothing else. And then Paulo, you know, throws it in Nikki's face. They're talking and walking, and Paulo throws it in Nikki's face that she slept with Zimmerman, which, you know, is really rule. He sort of broke rule number 3 when you're, you know, in a relationship with a woman. Rule number 1 being, you know, never say yes when they say, "Do I look fat?"
Mm-hmm.
Rule number 2 is, of course, you know, always remember anniversaries, birthdays, and Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And rule number 3, which is one he broke, is, you know, never try to use the fact that they slept with someone else who, you know, while the two of you were trying to pull a diamond heist against
Right.
them. So he broke that all-important, rarely used rule.
Doesn't seem like it deserves to be on the list, but it is quite important. So.
It's very important. It'll get you in a lot of hot water. Put you in the doghouse. So, of course, they stumble upon the Beechcraft plane. Yay!
Yay!
What a crazy twist! And, of course, you know, they stumble upon the Beechcraft plane, and my first thought is, cool, they can go tell Locke about this.
Mm-hmm.
Locke, you know, and Echo, and this will be great. Oh, but wait, I don't think they do.
That isn't going to happen.
Oh, damn.
They weren't very talkative.
They weren't very talkative at all. They were almost negative talkative.
They discovered stuff before anybody knew anything.
Yeah. There wasn't a hatch before they discovered it.
Yeah, before. Wasn't nobody climbing down hatches before Nikki and
Yeah,
Paulo.
before Nikki and Paulo, man. Nobody was doing crazy stuff.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know. I kind of wanted to think that, too. Like, yeah, okay, good. And then they'll warn Boone not to fall, because...
Exactly. Because Paulo knew so very quickly that if he went up there, it would fall.
I know.
Either he's just a pansy or he's... I mean, obviously he was right.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things. It's one of those lines that is supposed to, you know, mean more to someone who's seen the show and knows that it does fall, you know. It's like, he's calling it, and you're like, yeah. And somebody does die, and yeah. Anyway.
And it's crappy, though, because in that situation, it's easy to call it because we know it's true.
Right.
It's better to call it before it happens.
Hey.
Like Desmond. So, you know, like we said, he says he thinks the plane would fall if he went up there, and he doesn't want to go up there. And then they keep walking, and lo and behold, they stumble upon another great island mystery, the Pearl Station hatch. And Nikki just walks over it, and, hey, what's this? And
while Locke is puzzling over, you know, how to open this other hatch, they not only discover but pretty much get into the Pearl Station.
Yeah, so basically they discovered the first hatch.
Yeah, definitely.
Because this should have been before Locke discovered the hatch if it's before Kate found the guns. 'Cause that was pretty early.
Well, no, Kate. Oh, but they found the. Okay, I don't even know. I think it could be like really close, like within a couple days.
Oh yeah.
Because they found the hatch like right after they went after Claire. You know, Locke and Boone split off, and that's when they found the hatch.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like right around when they found the case of guns.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it could be like a day before, a day after. But even if like Locke found his hatch first, he didn't get in first at all.
Yeah. Well, his hatch, he unfortunately found the back door, for the hatch, and they found the front door, so they got in a lot quicker.
Yeah, it was an easy one. The other door really didn't seem like it was supposed to be opened.
Which other door? Oh, the door Locke found?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was like in an extreme emergency or something, but it wasn't like a serviceable door.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't just knock a few things out and open it up right then, and hey, I'm gonna climb down. No, you're not. Whatever.
Yeah, that's really just a writing thing, I think.
Yeah.
But because you really couldn't in an emergency. Could you really climb upstairs that fast if you're trying to escape the hatch?
Oh well,
I mean, climb up the little ladder.
Maybe if I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think you could. Next scene. Of course, Paula wants to go down into the Pearl Station, but Nikki doesn't want to go. I think she sort of doesn't want to go more out of spite for the fact that Paula didn't want to go up into the plane, because that's sort of what her argument was. Why she didn't want to go in. So she's just being mean. Next scene, we've got Hurley, Charlie, and Sawyer. They're trying to figure out what killed Nikki and Paulo. They're at their Nikki and Paulo's living area, and then Charlie comes in and tells them that the food checks out. They're all eating the same food, and no one else is dead, apparently dead. So the food should be fine. Hurley finds a copy of Expose, which is apparently Nikki's copy, and finds out that she was a cast member. We find out her last name is Fernandez. Let's see. We find out that, of course, Hurley mentions again that Mr. Lashard was the Cobra. He sort of goes to the end of the episode, of the script, and sees that little revelation. We find out that Hurley was a big fan of the show. I also wanted to mention real quick that in what episode was that? Oh, The Man from Tallahassee, when Locke is in his apartment eating right before Peter Talbot comes over, Locke is actually watching Expose, and which is a little nicety that they put in there, which makes Locke seem all more depressing that he's watching a show that crappy.
Yeah.
In his little apartment.
You get him, Corvette.
Yeah. So let's see what else happens in this scene. They find Arndt's bugs, and I really thought that the bugs should sort of all be dead by now, because it's been a long time since Arzt was around, and I really doubt that Nikki is really feeding all of those bugs. Mm-hmm. So they really, I mean, if that spider that she had was the one that the same one, it really should have been dead in that thing by now, that long ago. But a little plot hole there. But they find a walkie-talkie that Sawyer identifies as belonging to the others, and they start to wonder if Nikki and Paula were actually working with the others. The next scene we've got still flashbacks. Shannon and Ernst are squabbling over the guns that the guns that Jack has the key to, and Nikki, basically listens in on the conversation and then asks where Kate found the case. And in the next scene, we have Nikki and Paulo at the actual little pond where Kate had found the case, and they're arguing over who's going to go in. Paulo, of course, goes in, and he spots the bag, but doesn't tell Nikki that he sees it. And then the next scene, we have Son, Hurley, and Charlie, Sawyer, and Jen.
Can I say? I
Yes.
just want to say something about that last scene.
Oh.
That scene was where it started to feel like a walking tour, a famous season 1 attraction.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was like, we saw the plane and whatever, and then and here's the falls where Sawyer and Kate shared their frivolity before they found the case with the plane and the blah blah blah. And now moving along, we'll go see where Ethan hung Charlie, and I don't know, it had a very weird feel for him to be there. Like it just
Yeah, because most of the locations that they were at were places we had already seen, so it seems like they were just sort of showcasing them instead of having like new island locations or something.
Right. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. It just anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Let's see, the next scene, like I said, Hurley, Son, Charlie, Sawyer, and Jen, the group is growing, are all talking, trying to figure out what happened. They wonder if the others killed Nikki and Paulo. Hurley says that the others are pretty far away, but Son brings up the fact that she was recently taken by the others. And then we get that little look on Charlie's face, because we all know Charlie was the one who took her. And,
even if I didn't, I would not buy the others did that. It never seemed like the others to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, we definitely wouldn't buy it. I mean, as the audience, we know the others are busy.
Yeah.
They've got other stuff going on.
They're not going to just, take Son and then, never mind. Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, you mean... Oh, I thought you meant killed Nikki and Paulo.
Oh, no.
You mean... Oh, yeah, the whole thing when... Oh, yeah, the others taking Son. Oh, jeez. Give me a break.
Even in that episode, I didn't believe it before we found out what really happened.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem plausible to me that was supposed to be the others.
Well, and then, when she says, if I hadn't gotten away, they would have killed me.
Mm-hmm.
As if, she really did something to get away,
I know, they just found her,
yeah.
Positive. She didn't escape.
Yeah, it wasn't like she beat him up and won her freedom or something.
She's rewriting history there.
Yeah, she is.
Whatever, Son. The whole time she was saying that, I'm just like, please stop.
She's got a little case of Arnst, I think, making herself making the situation a little bigger than it is.
And then later, I shot Colleen.
Yeah, exactly.
Those others.
Exactly. I told Colleen, don't step to me. You know who I am? I'm the S to the U to the N. I'm from Korea. Are you crazy?
Shine a light in your eye, and then you die.
Exactly. I keep secrets from my husband. I am hardcore. Oh, man, if Son ever said anything like that, oh, God. She would get a free... It was like Razzle Dazzle. She'd get a free pass. I'd love her forever.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'd love her forever.
She could be crappy Son for the rest of the show.
Yeah. I am the glass ballerina, mofo. I will break something of yours and lie to you that I broke it. You can ask me if I broke it. I won't even tell you the truth.
I spoke English and slept with Michael. How about that, bitch?
Oh, I had an affair with my husband. Hardcore.
Oh, he thinks my baby's a miracle.
I'm not even pregnant. Oh, jeez. Oh, Son. So anyway, Sawyer decides he's going to go do a perimeter sweep, and he takes out a gun, and then Hurley gets all suspicious. Where did he get it from? And Sawyer says he got it from one of the others, and Hurley wonders why he didn't mention it before. And it's one of those sort of whodunit things that they're doing with this plot line where they're basically putting doubt and suspicion on like everybody. They're just throwing it around at everybody. It's like a big food fight, but they're throwing suspicion because it helps the mystery. It helps us try to wonder what really is going on. And Sawyer's killed someone before. He'll do pretty much anything if he thinks it's worth it. So. So I think Sawyer's the one who killed him. What do you think?
Really?
Yeah.
I had all my money on Hurley.
Really? I could see why you would think that. But I think Sawyer did it.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I think we should find out.
Oh, we'll see. Let's go to the next scene.
Okay.
We've got Paulo on the beach. He's popping some nicotine gum and he starts to dig a hole. And this was, speaking of Hurley, this was a very Hurley thing to do, I think, to try to hide something. Not only just a few yards away from where everyone else is, but sort of just out in the open, you're digging something. I thought that was really ridiculous of him to do that. Most people when they want to hide something, they would go in the jungle or something. But no, I'll hide it at the beach, in sand, which people dig up anyway. But anyway, Locke comes by to sort of prove the point that this is not a good time nor a place to be digging something valuable, hiding something valuable. And he basically tells him that things don't stay buried on the island, which of course at first comes off very mystical, and then he sort of clarifies that the beach is washing away and eroding, and that winter is coming, therefore high tide. And of course, if the plane went down in November,
Okay.
then really, and if they're in the southern hemisphere, summer should be coming, not
Summer's
winter.
coming.
Yeah.
LA Riders.
LA Riders, it's another thing like, not sort of factoring in the Universal Healthcare of Australia during the Claire episode.
Yeah.
LA Riders, yeah. They're like, oh, it's November, the winter's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, if they really have winter coming, that's going to be weird. 'Cause
Yeah.
It really shouldn't happen where they are. I bet if they do that and someone points it out, they'll come up with some, crappy explanation for it.
How could you explain that?
Some, weird thing about the island,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know though. I feel like, well, I guess it really depends on what their idea of the island is.
Or they'll let damage control. Someone will call them out on this line, and then the damage control will be Locke is wrong. Locke is thinking that because he's from California.
Yeah.
I guess they could get out like that.
Yeah, and I could sort of buy that. I don't know if Locke would really know the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to suggest that because winter is coming, that the tide's going to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know if that's true. That
I
the tide sort of changed with the seasons or something like that. But or maybe just the way he phrased it seems to imply that, but he didn't really mean that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, maybe Locke is just wrong. I mean, of course he is wrong. But maybe the writers know better, but they're just having Locke be wrong.
Yeah, possibly.
Because I feel like a lot of TV writers went to really good schools and stuff. So I feel like between all of them, they should know that.
Yeah.
Somebody would have spotted that.
One would think so. Then again, I could see it slipping through.
Oh yeah, I could see it slipping through too.
So it's but I kind of like this scene because it reminded me of Locke in the old days. The way he would sort of dispense this wise advice to people and.
Yeah, he was just this roving mage of wisdom. He just would show up out of nowhere, tell you something very mystical and confounding, and then leave.
Yeah,
in a cloud of smoke.
Exactly. Yeah, it was just weird to see that version of him again. It's been so long since he's been like that. It was like, wow, I guess they thought about it when they wrote that to give him that old weird tone that he had when he would tell people things.
Yeah. Yeah, I
He's gonna
think
stay buried on this island. And,
I think Terry O'Quinn liked that. I think he probably liked that scene because he got to be old season 1 Locke again.
yeah, I think you're right. It's hard not to miss that.
It's hard. That's what she said. Next scene, Paulo goes to the Pearl Station. He finds the bathroom and decides to hide the diamonds in the little toilet tank there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, lo and behold, Ben and Juliet
Who's
come
that
in.
coming in?
Guess who's coming to the Pearl Station? Ben and Juliet come in, and this little plot line gets a lot more interesting.
This is the biggest thing in the episode, I think, in terms of overall plot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was nice when we saw Ethan, but then we got old Ben and Juliet.
Yeah, Ethan was a teaser. This is more development.
Mm-hmm. So we hear Ben and Juliet, sort of right before they get into the hatch, and Ben wonders who left the hatch open, and Juliet says Tom was there a few days before. And then Ben tells her to have them cover the door with the plane, which is also sort of a meta line, because that's sort of what happens when Boom goes up there and the plane falls. To me, if Ben is going to say cover the door with the plane, that seems to suggest that after this visit to the Pearl Station, they won't really need to go back anymore. For whatever reason, he's pretty much there just to show Juliet Jack. At least that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Which, technically speaking, if they had a file on Jack, I feel like they could get a picture too.
Now, the plane has to be already fallen down at this point.
Why is that?
Well, Jack's in the hatch, which they didn't get into until season 2.
Well, that's the thing. I think. Oh, okay. So you're basically saying the plane was already down, and they just moved the plane over the door.
Right.
Oh,
that,
okay.
the way it fell originally, it didn't cover up the hatch.
Oh. Does that make sense though with the previous episodes when Locke came back to the plane? Was the plane? I don't remember. Did they mention something like that the plane had moved? Because it seemed like Locke would know that the plane had moved, presumably a considerable distance.
They didn't mention it.
Because if you think about this shot, when Nikki and Paulo first find the plane in the hatch door, which is redundant, the station's door, the hatch. If that plane would have fallen at the base of that cliff, which is not where the hatch was.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have had to been moved a considerable distance, and Locke really should have noticed that when he came back to it. So that's weird, but
yeah, I'll give him that he was distraught because that was when Boone died.
I mean, and I'll buy that. Like he didn't, he wasn't really aware of where the plane was during that time because of all the stuff that was going on. But when he came back, I was thinking, I think he should have been expecting the plane to be at the base of the cliff, and when it wasn't, he should have thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Because when you're going to something, you sort of, maybe have a visual of where it is you're going, and I feel like he would have been visualizing it at the base of the cliff. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben turns on the monitor, and we see Jack in the Swan Station. And it looks like Jack is at someone's bedside. There's medical supplies around him. I can't remember offhand who he could be tending to. I remember he tended to Sawyer, and of course he tended to Michael and all the various people who've gotten hurt. But I'm guessing that's supposed to be Sawyer, right?
Well, let's see. This is pre-Ben, so it can't be Michael.
It's not Michael.
So it has to be. Yeah, I guess I don't think. Who else did he tend to?
Not anyone else in the hatch.
It was Sawyer. I guess that would be the person to tend to.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Also, from the monitor, Jack, we can see that Jack is talking to someone sort of off camera. So I have no idea who that might be. I mean, I guess it could be like Kate or Locke or something.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever. Juliet looks at Jack and she references that she thinks he's cute, and then she gives a little strange glance at Ben, which voila, I think Ben might be the gay character. Yes, and here's some stuff to think about. Some of which is serious, some of which is a joke. But I was thinking that if Ben is gay, that might explain why he doesn't have a kid of his own, and maybe the others don't allow gay adoption, so that's why he had to steal Alex.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, the others are pretty.
Their leader, or sort of leader, is gay, and they don't allow gay adoption.
Yeah, their legal system, the sheriff just doesn't allow it.
Wow.
Just doesn't allow it. They're pretty forward thinking, but there's some people from the old generation there that just can't get past it. No, I don't know.
I have to throw out, since you said that, I really didn't see that coming. I remember way back when Henry Gale was exposed, when he was going as Henry Gale, and Saeed came back and exposed that there was a man named Henry Gale buried in the grave. I remember a theory that you had about that maybe he was just gay, and Henry Gale was his husband or boyfriend or whatever, and he just didn't want to tell him that, and so he said it was a wife, and he really wasn't another. And why did he use his name? Well, I don't know, but
yeah, like I said before, I guess I just want to believe everyone's gay. Apparently, I'm just trying to find ways for everyone to be gay.
Yeah, it's I don't know, just bringing that back.
Yeah, well. Oh,
I don't think he has to not be, but it's I don't know, it's up in the air. I took that as being like, he's cute. Now, what are you going to say about that? I don't know. It seemed like she was challenging him to, I don't know, not like that she said that.
Yeah, it definitely came off to me that way too. As she's like, he's cute. Not only he's cute, does that make you jealous? But he's cute. What am I doing here? Get to the point. Just sort of she's just making a frivolous comment to illustrate that she thinks the situation is frivolous because presumably at this point she's she doesn't really like Ben that much when we first found her in the beginning of season 3 they were at odds, and so presumably she wants to go and leave the island. He won't let her so it's not like she really is deeply invested in what's going on.
Wow. Is that the first Lost Lowdown sneeze?
I think that's the first Lost Lowdown sneeze. I was trying to finish my sentence before, and I couldn't finish. I was trying to blurt the words out as fast as I could before my sneeze came.
Wow. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, folks. Claude gave his official statement on this episode. Achoo!
Achoo!
Feel free to quote me. I think Achoo has 4 O's.
Get it right.
Get it right, folks. Get it right. So anyway, of course, there's many meanings she could have for that line. I do like the fact she gave him a weird little look though when she said that.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is something to that line, but I don't know. I'm going to take the writers at their word. They say the gay character is in this episode, and I think it can really only be. I think it's most likely Boone. And it would, it could be Boone for a lot of reasons, and specifically because since he's not on the show anymore, it won't really affect the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So they can just have that or whatever. But, or it could be Ben because of this line and because, of my little crackpot theory about adoption, or or just specifically why he doesn't have a kid of his own, presumably. And hey, I don't see any woman he's attached with.
I don't either.
I don't know. He says he lives with his roommate, his friend Larry. They've been roommates for a while. I don't know. It's a little suspect.
I just like to have him sleep over. It makes me feel safe.
Exactly, yeah. Nothing going on, Mom. He's just my friend. I can see Tom. Hey, hey, Ben, you and old Larry have been spending a lot of time together. Go to the pearl station, Tom. Go to the pearl station. Get out of my hair.
Lots to do there.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that'd be an interesting revelation. If Ben was gay. I don't know. I think that'd be an interesting little twist. No pun intended.
I mean, I can't. Even if he's not gay, I can't see him having a relationship with anyone.
Oh no, I can't see them exploring that on the show. That would be. I mean, that would just be weird. Not just because it's Ben.
Yeah, exactly. Just because of his.
Because there's nothing wrong with being gay. Nothing wrong with that. To pull a Seinfeld.
Like I can't. I just can't imagine. So yeah, and then also if he's gay, I don't feel like they can really explore that too deeply either.
Yeah.
It would just come up somehow, I guess, and they'd move on. But it's a fair theory. That look was very. I mean, I was hard not to notice it. It was
Yeah.
so like over. She didn't just say he's cute and then move on. It was a whole ordeal.
Yeah,
Like,
she
look
said it
over
for a reason.
Yeah. So. All right. Interesting.
And you know, and I could see them, you know, throwing in that line that Shannon says about Boone as a red herring, you know, but it's, you know, the gay character is really Ben, you know, we find that out later, but we'll see in due time. Who's the gay one?
Who?
Is it you?
Me? I just I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know. You're not supposed to put it in there? Yikes. Yikes.
Woo!
What am I saying? Whoa. What happened?
What happened? I think I sneezed again.
I think I sneezed. I think that was a sneeze, folks. All you heard was another sneeze.
Oh, dear.
Oops.
Wow.
Oh, man. Next scene. No, actually, there's some more stuff in this scene.
Yeah, we gotta stay on this scene, unfortunately.
We're explicit on iTunes, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Explicit for a reason. Hope the kids are in bed.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, booty blue. I'm lost in my notes here. Okay, so, Ben thinks that he can convince Jack to do the surgery. So, wait, at this point, when is this? This is about, this is still season 1.
No, it has to be season 2.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, yeah, season 2. Okay, I'm just trying to see how early it was that Ben decided he wanted to get Jack for the surgery.
Right.
So this was after the plane fell, but before they come back in question mark.
Yeah. So it's got to be, yeah. Before Ben gets captured.
And before Ben gets captured.
We can at least say that.
So it's in the first part of season 2.
Or could it be after? That would be
No.
weird.
When Sawyer was hurt, that was the beginning of season 2, right?
But maybe it was Michael, and maybe it was after.
Oh. Well, no. It couldn't have been after, because after that is after question mark, right? Wait, when does Ben escape?
Yeah, you're right. That fucks it up. He would have to have basically gone straight there to miss them, because they went looking for him when they went to the question mark. So,
yeah.
Ostensibly. So, yeah, no, that really doesn't work. But I thought maybe it would. Maybe that whole surgery thing was. Of course, they had already sent Michael. That doesn't work at all. Never mind.
Yeah. So basically,
this is before he gets captured.
Yeah, so, I mean, for a good amount of time, Ben has had the idea to take Jack for the surgery.
Yeah.
So, he's been
and, Juliet brings it up, so they talked about it, before, even this scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows how long, I would guess, since he knew about the cancer before the crash even, that as soon as he found out who Jack was, he wanted him to do it.
Yeah, I'll bet that.
Whenever that was.
Whenever that was.
It took him to accumulate the file.
Yeah.
Or files or whatever.
So yeah, he thinks he can convince Jack to do the surgery. All he has to do is exploit what he's emotionally invested in, which is harder than it sounds, folks. I've tried. And Juliet says, well, do we grab Ford and Austin too? Which I thought was really interesting that she said that. That must mean that they've either talked about it or she just sort of knows that Jack's weakness is, that sort of triangle relationship there. Because she says that right off the bat, like, okay, if we're going to take Jack and exploit his weakness, then we'll need Ford and Austin. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's not how I took that line, but that makes more sense than what I thought.
What did you think?
Well, I basically thought that it was just one of those lines to indicate what they were going to do.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't see why. I'm like, why do you need them? I don't get it. I thought, what Ben was talking about was Juliet, because, he used that word invested when he was talking to Jack later on, referring to Juliet. So I assume that's what he meant somehow, he was going to use her to get him invested in her, and then that was going to somehow convince him to do the surgery. But it makes more sense that she immediately says, so we grab all three of them because that's what he's invested in, and that'll be the key, and that gives him a reason for taking those other two.
And yeah, I mean, I hesitate a little bit to think. I mean, obviously, it's good that they took Kate and Sawyer for their plans, but to me, it seems like you would want to just take Kate because that's really who he's emotionally invested in is Kate. I think taking Sawyer too is only a good idea when you are the writers of the show and you know where you're going to do with that,
right?
Well,
and she didn't throw in, and Hurley too, but we'll let him go back and warn the others never to come here.
Exactly. Yikes. Jeez. The next part, they're trying to figure out how they're going to do this, and Ben suggested they use Michael to make the Losties come to them. And this entire time, Paulo is watching from the bathroom, and Ben turned. Oh man, he just goes lower and lower on the totem pole.
Paulo knew some shit, man.
They both knew some stuff, man.
Wow.
Paulo could have single-handedly. I mean, Nikki too, but Paulo more could have single-handedly radically altered the events of season 2, and of course season 3.
One look at Henry Gale and Paulo could have outed him.
Yep.
That would have been it. And, he just never saw him, I guess, in theory. Obviously he wasn't really there, but...
Yeah.
But, it makes it clear that he saw Juliet before anybody did, and... the Pearl, and, yeah, man. Oof.
Yeah, that's the... but no, not only that, but the big thing that they're gonna kidnap...
Yeah.
These three people and use Michael, which obviously means that Michael's with them. Oh
shit! Yeah, good point. He knew about that too.
He knew about that too, and it's really strange to me. It's more than strange because I can take they don't mention the plane or they don't mention that they found this or the sort of the idea that the information doesn't really travel that well on the island. But when it's something as dangerous and literally life-threatening as these others are planning a kidnapping, to not say anything, even to Nikki apparently. Well, of course not to Nikki because then you have to explain what he was doing down there.
Oh yeah.
To not do that is just like, man, Paolo, you just suck.
Yeah, man.
You just suck.
Fucking shit. That whole subplot didn't have to happen if he was like, okay, this guy's another, and Michael's going to come back and try to lure you away.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben wants you to do the surgery.
This guy has cancer and he wants you to do the surgery.
That would have been a weird season 2.
Yeah, that'd have been weird.
Been like a bunch of big reveals all of a sudden. Yeah, I mean that's God, that just doesn't look good for Apollo.
I really think they should have found some plausible reason why Apollo never said anything.
Yeah.
Or just had Paulo leave before Ben and Juliet got there, and maybe he hides in the brush when he sees them coming, and he sees them go in there, but he doesn't hear the conversation,
right?
But for them to write that he saw the whole conversation and say anything is just crazy. And his only excuse for doing that is, of course, he would have to explain why he was down there.
Right.
But he could have made something up. Well, we found this thing, and I was just exploring. He didn't have to say anything about the diamonds.
Yeah, no, and it's. I mean, maybe he's afraid of them finding it, but it seems like a really shitty thing to do, not to warn them about this. Maybe he doesn't know their last names, but I don't know. I guess seeing the monitor, he should have known what was going on or something. He should have done something.
You know what?
Was going on.
I actually. Now that you say that, I changed my opinion on that a little bit. He didn't hear their names, and I'll buy that he didn't actually see the monitor because he was sort of peeking through that crack, so his view was sort of limited. I'll take a lot of that back because you're right. He didn't hear their first names, and even if he saw the monitor, he probably couldn't tell. The screen was small anyway. So, he probably didn't know what was going on. I think he definitely should have said something to somebody, but he didn't know who they were talking about, which I think is now I now see why they wrote they had Ben and Juliet just use the last names.
Except for Michael.
Except for Michael, which what is Michael's last name?
Dawson.
Oh yeah, it's funny I don't think they ever called Michael by his last name.
No, I think they used it in the flashbacks, but yeah, they never. They always called him by his first name.
Maybe that's because don't all the others call the others by their first names, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe that's why they do that. Maybe that's why they did. Maybe that's why they did that to Michael, because he was sort of one of them that whole time.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
And then if you're not one of them,
they call other people by their first name sometimes too. It depends on the situation.
Yeah. Of course, they didn't say Ford and Shepard and Austin the whole time.
But sometimes, they pull it out when they need it.
Yikes.
But if he hears something about Michael, like, it seems like he should say, because at this point he should know Michael's gone looking for Walt, who was kidnapped, and, like, he should know about that. And
but benefit of the doubt, he doesn't necessarily know that's the same Michael. So benefit of the doubt. Barely. I guess it's easy for us to say, because we know so much about what they're talking about, which is to say everything, basically. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. He has no reason to believe that Michael is with them, so when he says, we'll use Michael to make them come to us, I mean, he has no reason to believe that that's the same Michael. Like, why would it be the same Michael?
Right.
So I'll take a lot of that back from Paulo. They wrote it to where it's less his fault,
Yeah.
as much as they could, I think. So
right, and still have us, get to see the scene.
Yeah.
So let me just, quickly throw out what is this? Are we supposed to think that what happened is that Ben wanted Jack to do the surgery, so he intentionally got himself kidnapped so that Michael could come, like, rescue him and then, like, lure everybody away? Like, is that what we're supposed to think?
No, I think there's two things going on here. With Ben, I think that whole thing, there's two things going on there. There's, Ben and this plan to kidnap Jack, which involves taking Sawyer and Kate. But I think there's also the idea that Ben, was in the Pearl Hatch, presumably saw the orientation film there, and, was curious about the Swan Hatch and wanted to see if it, what was going on there. Because I sort of want to believe that's what that all was about. When he let himself get kidnapped, or or I don't know if he really let himself get kidnapped so much as he was going there to find something out, and then he got kidnapped, or captured. And I really think that was supposed to be about, him being interested in the hatch, and excuse me, the Swan Station, and going there to figure out what's going on, and then maybe he wanted to get access to the computer and see if the button really did anything. But of course, I think that's really what Carlton and Damon pretty much said in one of their podcasts.
Yeah,
that's what was going on. And the idea that the Swan Station would have been a pretty well guarded secret, specifically what's going on in there, with Dharma, so the others didn't really know, what the station was about and stuff like that, and that if they found the Pearl video that could have piqued his interest, then of course the Pearl video says that the button doesn't do anything; it's just an experiment, which makes sense of why Ben would say that.
Yeah.
Of course, Ben hasn't seen the Swan orientation video, which says it is real. So I'd like to. It's a big contradiction there. But so yeah, that's the thing. I feel like those are two separate things that are hard to be meshed together.
Yeah, and then I think
reasons.
Another part of this that's making it not quite seem to work is the fact that they didn't necessarily plan for who Ben is and who, the Henry Gale other character was to be the same originally. And if they were different characters, it might seem a little less weird that, like, this other went to investigate the Swan Hatch, and then there's this Ben surgery issue.
Yeah.
With a different guy. Not him, like, wanting the surgery and doing this, like, investigation, at the same time. So I think that's part of the weirdness. But I have to point out, I believe in the last podcast, I made the statement that I didn't think the others knew about the Pearl Hatch, and this episode proved that to be extremely incorrect.
Nice.
They know about it and use it, like, routinely, it seems. So, oh well.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
It's interesting to know. It makes me wonder. A couple of people speculated that when Tom was down there, maybe he was the one talking to Michael on the, on the thing, pretending to be Walt.
Yeah.
And that's how he could see him. Not that camera showed the computer, but whatever.
Well, yeah. There were different. There's different There's definitely multiple cameras in the Swan Hatch.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen a camera on the computer, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but anyway, it's
there really should be one.
Yeah.
For what they're supposed to do, it seems like they should.
Yeah, that would probably be the most important camera to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also was thinking when Ben and Juliet came down there that we were gonna see that they were the ones who left that, like, marijuana looking stuff on the table. Like, whatever that stuff was, and maybe it's really Tom who left that there. I mean, I could see, Tom going out there. Maybe he brings Pickett or one of the younger guys or something. What was that kid? Yeah, Aldo. I could totally see Aldo coming out with him, and he's like, "Hey, Ben wanted me to talk to Michael on the computer, but after we're done, let's blaze it up." Aldo's like, "Yeah, man, let's do it. And they sit back and get a little stoned, and they're like, "Man, we're so crazy, man.
I got a theory about us, man.
Man, what we're doing on the island is so crazy, dude." Can you believe
I think
it?
we might be telepathic, man.
Man,
I can, like, read your mind.
I can, like, read your mind, man. Oh, jeez.
Getting stoned with the others.
We're, like, totally immoral, but we don't seem to see it, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh, jeez. That'd be awesome. I wish they would film scenes like that and put together, like a lost collection. Like, these little scenes of these crazy things.
I do, too. Oh, God. It would be
That'd
really
be
good.
Awesome. Tom looks like he smokes. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
He looks like he needs to relax.
I agree.
It's medicinal.
Mm-hmm.
It's medicinal.
Glaucoma, glaucoma.
Glaucoma, yes. Arthritis. All right. One of the other things that was pretty noticeable in this scene is that Ben and Juliet do not have any shoes on.
True.
Nor socks, by the way.
Mm.
And I think that's very interesting. I've never believed that people who, this idea that they are just walking around the jungle barefoot, especially now that we really know a lot about them.
Yeah.
I think it's really ridiculous that they were doing that. The only reason I can think you would want to walk around in the jungle without shoes is this idea that it lessens like tracks or something like that.
Right.
It's harder to track you, which was one of the big things they said about the others.
Yeah.
But and I guess at this point Juliet's been there for a while, so maybe she's used to walking around barefoot. But why? I guess I know I'm sort of rambling here, but it seems like you would only start walking around barefoot when after the plane crashes and there's other people on the island. Because before they should pretty much know no one is there. They know of Rousseau presumably. They should, and but they really shouldn't. They don't have any reason to believe anyone else is on the island. So why go through all the trouble of walking around barefoot? Especially someone like Juliet, who is a recent person on the island, and she's not used to that. Versus someone like Ben, who's been there all his life, and presumably they lived a very naturalistic lifestyle or something before Dharma or whatever. But I don't know, the whole thing. I just thought it was weird why they would be walking around without shoes on. And it's a very small detail that I like that they put in there. I just don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, the others did that, when they were doing the whole dress-up thing. They would walk around barefoot, and so it's the same question, I guess, except, why would they specifically do it, maybe? Because, like in the Season 2 finale, they were all barefoot on the dock, so that's just, part of the costume, but, I don't know. Why bother? I mean, they're trying to pull off this charade, I guess, and they feel that that's important for them to not have shoes.
Yeah, I mean, imagine walking through a jungle. How you're stepping on rocks and leaves.
Oh yeah, and there's spiders that can paralyze you for hours.
Spiders and all. I mean, those jungles have tons of insects. And, and you're walking over all kinds of stuff and mud and water and it's a lot to go through for a little charade.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't want to do it, but the others are, I guess, a little more determined or something.
Yeah, and I don't even see why they couldn't have got some very sort of meager sandals or something I mean, the idea that they're supposed to be primitive. I mean, their clothes are pretty well done. They're not dressed like cavemen. Their clothes are pretty well done. Isn't Ben wearing a vest or something? He's got a 3-piece suit on. I don't know. It's they went. The clothes aren't that primitive to where, if they could, if it would be out of line for them to have some strappy sandals or something. Anyway.
Well, too bad you weren't there. You could have suggested it.
That's really why I want to work on the show, so I can suggest their footwear. Because that's my life goal, is to be on Lost and be the footwear suggester.
The thing is, them being barefoot was a big thing at one point. I mean, I remember a lot of discussion about that, and when Echo and Jen are hiding and they walk by barefoot, and it just seemed creepy, they seemed all supernatural and stuff, and at this point they're just locked in, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They can't really get out of the fact that they were walking around barefoot.
Well,
now.
Here's something for you. When Ben was captured as Henry Gale, he had shoes on, right?
I don't know.
Didn't he have a watch on too? Am I making that up?
I don't remember. But when he was doing Henry Gale, he shouldn't have been in the primitive garb, because he wasn't trying to disguise himself like that. He was trying to say he crashed there.
Oh, that's right. So he should have had that on.
Yeah. He should have been. I don't remember what he was wearing, though. So.
Or, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, it goes back to the question of, was he trying to get captured or not? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, the idea is he goes over there, and if he does get captured, he has this alibi of Henry Gale, because
if he runs into somebody,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, in general, if he runs into somebody, then he's got this alibi, because of course he wouldn't want them to find him dressed like another,
right?
Because they've been kidnapping and torturing them.
Right.
So I'll buy that. Okay. The other little question I had is, why is that one monitor always on? It's on when Paulo first comes in and finds it, and Ben comes in, and when he leaves, he turns it from the hatch channel or whatever that is, the hatch feed, but then he leaves the monitor on, and it just seems like a weird thing to do, because if someone else comes in there, it's the first thing they're going to notice is this monitor that's on.
Yeah.
If all the screens were off, it would make it seem, before you investigate, that it does, it's off. It may not work anymore. It looks old. But to have it on is to draw attention to what's going on there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just an aesthetic choice, because it does look kind of nice,
Yeah. Kind of creepy.
But I don't know, just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a waste of power too.
Yeah. Those others, man, they can't get it right.
I don't know if they pay for their power or what. But,
they can't possibly pay for their power. That's some alliteration. Possibly pay for their power. But they can't. If they do, I'm going to go watch Desperate Housewives.
Okay.
Speaking of which, did you see last week's episode?
Of Desperate Housewives?
Yeah.
No, I need to catch up. I missed it.
Why do I even bother?
Sorry, I didn't know. I showed up for the Lost podcast. What happened?
Yeah, well, you know what happened is that okay, I can't do it. I don't know any character's name on that show.
Oh, you can't even.
Yeah, I was gonna start calling them by their actor names.
Actor names.
Well, Felicity Huffman told Marsha Cross to yeah, no. That's not going to work.
Dear.
Then Ava Longoria said, nuh-uh. And then they found the dead guy in the basement.
Oh, no.
And it was Paulo.
Oh.
And he was just paralyzed.
Oh.
Okay. So, right before Paulo leaves, he finds a walkie-talkie, which is, of course, the one that Sawyer and the gang find. And this is a walkie-talkie that Juliet apparently left behind, because when she comes in, she's carrying a walkie-talkie, and when she leaves, she is not. And if you watch closely, when Ben is tuning the monitor, you can kind of see that she's setting something down on the table. It's not really framed very well for that revelation, but she is sort of bending over to the side to do something. So the idea is she set the walkie-talkie down. And of course she leaves it, which, if I was in a situation like this where these two pretty scary people just, came and left, and they left something, I really wouldn't want to take what they left, because any second they could realize they left it and come back for it. And that would scare me.
I agree.
But I guess
that would make me scared to leave in general. But,
yeah, I would stay there for a while to make sure they were gone. I really wouldn't. Yeah, that'd be scary.
Because you run into that thing that people do in movies sometimes, where they seem to leave and then you come out. And,
and they come back because they forgot something. It was really weird. So next scene, we got Hurley. He comes to talk to Desmond. Thinking that Desmond's powers could help. And, I have to say that Desmond is sort of turning into, not like Locke, but it's sort of that same thing where he was really cool and interesting, and then he got to the point where he was actually sort of mystical and interesting, and now he's just sort of boring. Because every time Desmond is around these days, it's just like, oh, sorry, mate, I'm too depressed about I don't know what to care about anything.
Sorry, mate, this isn't my episode. I got nothing to say.
Exactly. Did you see me last week? I was good.
I did all kinds of shit last week.
I had time travel last week. This week, I'm eating porridge, and I'm of no use. But I will tell you one thing. I saw Nikki yelling at Sawyer, so maybe you should go check that out.
Ooh. That's my only contribution.
That's the only contribution. What are you going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he did it very well, and with long flowing hair.
Yes, always.
Always.
Long flowing hair that's exempt from any hair contest.
Hey, hair that nice, it must be exempt. Sounds like a good tagline for like a conditioner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your hair will be so good, it'll be okay. I had nothing.
I don't know how you word that to make it work, but yeah.
How about the product that's called exemption?
Oh, okay.
And it's like exemption. Hair so good. Okay, I'm back to the same thing. All right.
The name of the shampoo didn't help.
It didn't help. Let's see. Exemption. Your hair will be too of stuff. I don't know.
Okay. Oh dear. Yeah.
A copywriting career I do not have in front of me.
The hard part for me about that is you have to convey what you're talking about in a really slick way.
Yeah.
And it's tricky.
Well, that's the essence of copywriting.
I guess it is. Yeah. I'm not a copywriter.
Does it say that on your business card?
Oh,
though?
sorry, but that's your thing.
No, it's your. I was just wondering if it's on your business card.
I know that it says. Actually, no, it doesn't say that on my business card. My business card, unlike yours, is actually not filled with jobs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually it actually just has my name and some things I might like to do, but yeah, not.
Oh, really?
Not the crazy list that yours has.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like kayaking and skydiving and.
Why are your hobbies on your business card?
Seeing Rome. I don't know.
That's another question to ask. Why you have hobbies listed in your? I don't think you and I understand the function of a business card.
Apparently not. That's not. You don't give those to people to tell them
Yeah.
what your interests are?
Mine is a list of things that I'm not, and yours is a list of things you like to do. Wow. Maybe one of our listeners can write in and tell us what the function of a business card is.
Where did we go wrong?
I don't know. I went to business card school, and that's what I got out of it.
Me too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. We got different things out of it, though, so that's...
We did. Oh, you probably went in the fall semester, and they changed the curriculum in the spring.
Oh, okay, of course.
Yeah, they always
curriculum.
Do that. Yeah. They always do that, trying to make it better, and it invariably makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Or just as bad. All right, so the next scene, we've got... what is going on? I don't even know anymore. This is near where Nikki and Desmond. What am I saying?
Nikki and Desmond.
Where Nikki and Paulo are laying, and Hurley tells Son and Charlie, what Desmond said. That basically, sort of more trying to implicate Sawyer. This, of course, along with the idea that Sawyer has that gun he didn't tell anybody about. So maybe Sawyer did it. Come on. Yeah, right. And so we see Vincent pulling the blanket from over Nikki and Paulo, and it's like, hey, Lassie's trying to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, girl. What is it, girl? What is it, girl? Did Nikki and Paulo get paralyzed? Well, when I first saw this, I really, of course, hated it because I hate when Vincent does anything sort of Lassie-like, when it's just like, why is this dog bringing severed human arms with keys on them?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this dog brandishing, statues of the Virgin Mary with cocaine in them?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I thought, why is Vincent doing this? This is very weird and annoying just for a dog to do because he's just messing with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's the idea that Vincent was trying to tell them that Nikki and Paulo were in fact not dead.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a part of that might mean if Vincent is in fact Smokey, as some distinguished podcasters tend to suggest. I don't know who those would be, but I think I've heard that theory from someone very handsome. Well-spoken and articulate young man who likes long walks on the beach. And, because I don't like long walks on the beach. And I'm not talking about me. I was also thinking that if...
I don't like long walks on the beach, but that's irrelevant because this has nothing to do with me.
Oh, man. The audience is like, get on with your stupid point. My point is, however stupid it might be, is that if Vincent is Smokey and he's trying to tell them that Nikki and Paulo are not dead, that might mean that Smokey / the island, if they're specifically connected,
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want Nikki and Paulo to die. Which I think would be an interesting point.
Sure.
Now, of course, we sort of talked about earlier. Later, there's an implication that Smokey had something to do with Nikki getting paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. That doesn't really fit in here, but I have nothing else to say.
Okay.
Just wanted to make that point.
Sure.
So, at this point, Charlie confesses to Sun that it was actually him who took her, which is a kind of thing I never thought they would actually talk about again because I didn't actually care in the first place.
Yeah.
And he basically says it was Sawyer's idea, and he was upset when Locke hit him, and blah blah blah, and this would be a way to get him back. All that stuff that we already know. And then Sun just sort of walks off, and Charlie's all sad. The next scene is a flashback. We've got Locke and Saeed and Desmond. They're going to the Pearl Station. And this is, when Nikki and Paulo decide to go with them. So this is like question mark, right?
No. This is...
Ooh, yikes.
Wow. This is the cost of living.
This is the cost of living, sorry. Every time I think of Locke and like the Pearl Station and having to do with Echo, I think of,
Yeah, it was very much a sequel to Question Mark, I think.
Question mark the sequel.
Yeah.
The cost of living. So we get to the Pearl Station, and it's sort of a another scene from the original, from that episode, The Cost of Living, but we find Paulo in the bathroom, and now we get to see what he was doing in there. We didn't think we wanted to know.
I have to say, who thought? I certainly didn't think he was doing anything. I just thought he was using the bathroom and being Paulo.
Yeah, and this actually, I think makes Paulo seem a little, not more interesting, but less crappy.
Yeah.
Because now we know, as we see, he was basically getting the diamonds out of the toilet tank.
Yeah.
And, he was preoccupied. So in that much reviled line, oh, computers, you see computers? Okay, let's go. He was saying that because he literally was sort of flustered about the whole situation and anxious and nervous and didn't really, didn't want to be there, because he wanted to go and because he just had he just got these diamonds. So it makes it. I applaud the writers for the foresight, and of course it's their job to have the foresight, but they don't always get it right. So applaud to them when they do get it right. The foresight to write his character appropriately and the cost of living, because they obviously knew what was going on during that scene, so they were able to write it appropriately. So.
Yeah, it makes that scene seem a lot better in retrospect.
Yeah.
that I know what was going on there. It's like, oh, okay, maybe, yeah. He's still like crappy in a way, but like at least he wasn't just a complete, buffoon in that scene. Coming out, oh, the toilet works, whatever, So yeah, I know. I was shocked as soon as I saw him hide it in there. It blew my mind. I'm like,
Yep.
I can't believe they even care enough to like justify that.
Yeah, well, I also wonder. I meant to mention that earlier. Would you really want to hide your diamonds in a place that other people have visited? Like, I mean, obviously the odds that they would go look at a toilet tank are pretty small. But I do want to mention the top of the toilet tank was off when he got there, right?
Was it?
I think it was.
I don't remember.
I can't say that I do either. Nonetheless, this place isn't as secret as he may have thought.
Yeah.
And I think I would at least have rethought my plan there.
Yeah, if nobody had gone down there, I feel like it was a decent place. But, yeah, it's Paulo.
Oh. It is Paulo.
Or Paolo.
Oh, Paolo. It's Paolo. I call him Paulo because I don't want to enunciate that much.
Yeah. It's wrong,
I just looked it up. The toilet tank was not off already. So,
okay.
He's fine.
Good.
Good. It
Somewhat.
would be weird. Somewhat. But, anyway, you ready to go to the next scene?
Yes.
Okay. It still doesn't explain, though, why they didn't use the computer that was already there in the station. I kind of thought they might explore that since we were getting this sort of flashback. We might get to see them say something about that, but no, whatever.
Like
maybe
a cut line or something?
Yeah, maybe next season we'll get another scene and we'll get that line. We'll get that explanation of that.
But what about the computers? Oh, we turned it on. They don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be just as interesting.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I don't write the show. I realized that was a crappy scene.
But no, I don't really think it can be more interesting than that. That's the thing. I can see them doing it, but it just won't be interesting.
Hopefully with a little more, I don't know.
Little
Style.
pizzazz. Razzle dazzle. Oh, man. Yeah, that'll be great, man. Like, Saeed, we have this scene, and Saeed is trying to make the computer work. And he, like, gives it a little karate chop on the side. Razzle dazzle. Or better yet, Nikki comes over and does it. That'd be awesome. She's like, oh, I think I can make this computer work. Razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah. And, like, he just looks at her like she's crazy. And she's like, it worked against Mr. Lashard. Or not really, but...
No, not really. It worked
against his goon. Yeah. I could see her doing that, shrugging her shoulders. Oh, well, it worked on TV.
Had to try.
Had to try. Did it make it worse, Saeed? I don't think it did. Well, as a matter of fact, I do believe it did. You broke it. I always want to do an English accent when I do Saeed these days.
Hey, it's not too far.
Yeah. I am a torturer. My name is Saeed. I am a torturer. Okay, that's bad.
Yeah. Well.
You know what's not bad is the next scene.
Oh, okay.
Where it might be bad. Let's see. We're back at the beach, and the gang is digging Paolo, and Nikki's graves, and Hurley comes to Sawyer and demands the guns, and he asks if Sawyer killed him. Blah blah blah. Hurley, you're on the wrong track as usual. Sawyer says that Nikki was yelling because she wanted a gun. And then he sort of put two and two together when they found her that she had dirt under her fingernails, and he apparently saw a fresh mound of dirt, so he figured she was hiding something, and he takes out the diamonds and gives them to Son and says, "Hey, here, you take them, because I didn't kill him." Which I don't know why that proves you didn't kill him, Sawyer, but I think I see your point. This also made me think that Sawyer, the fact that Sawyer gave Sun the diamonds, or sort of just in general gave away the diamonds, would me suggest that he doesn't think they're getting rescued, like, ever.
Yeah.
At least, like, anytime soon. But, like, ever, he sort of, relinquished that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Which, is plausible. It's been 80 days.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? So, I had a quick question about this. Sawyer, was fairly quick to turn over the diamonds. I wonder, could there have been anything else in that little diamond satchel that he may have taken? Now, I know he gets the diamonds back in the end, so it doesn't really matter if he, like, took something out of there now. But I was just wondering if there was maybe... I just don't see Sawyer giving up diamonds, even though, there's no use for them, but... I guess it doesn't matter since he gets them back at the end.
Yeah, he gets them back, and then he gets to dump them on the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he kept some or whatever, but I like to think he didn't.
Well, I'd like to think there was something else in there besides the diamonds that was valuable.
Well, I'd like to think that too, but
like
I don't.
Maybe a white and black rock, maybe?
Maybe.
Plot twist, a little twister. Yes, please. Red hand on yellow.
I actually saw that on some forum, somebody saying maybe the diamonds are the white and black.
Yeah, that was me.
I don't know how that works, but...
that was me, thank you very much.
Somehow the, I mean, the time is crazy, but somehow their bodies got transplanted to the past, and the diamonds turned to black and white rocks, and I don't know.
Okay, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Because that's just ridiculous. Wow, that the bodies were Nikki and Paolo?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The bodies were Nikki and Paolo.
If I could believe that in pretty much no sense of the word believe. But I could see that happening only if they like didn't bury Nikki and Paolo. But of course, what else would they do with them at this point? But I can believe that only a little bit because there is some time travel going on here. I don't believe that the diamonds would turn into black and white rocks, but the fact that there is some time travel going on here, is interesting with that idea. But of course, they buried them and all of that, and they would have to be dug up sometime in the future, and then moved, and then sent back in time. So, for all those reasons and more, let's go to the next scene.
Okay.
The next scene, we have Nikki and Paolo. They're talking on the beach, and Paolo basically says, he thinks that finding the diamonds was a good thing because it keeps them together. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Sappy, sappy, sappy. And then Paolo gets up and leaves, and of course, what does he leave behind? Oh, some incriminating evidence. Nikki finds
plot
his
device.
nicotine
Nicorette gum.
Yeah, he finds his nicotine gum. Oh, nicotine gum, please.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes. I don't believe that Nicorette is an official sponsor of ABC's hit TV show Lost. Although they would be wise to get some ad time since it's popular with the 18 to 35 demographic, in both males and females.
I agree. All of whom should quit smoking.
Exactly. All of whom could benefit from Nicorette Gum, sponsor of the Lost Lowdown.
I just say that out of habit. I've known a few people who quit smoking, so the brand is indistinguishable from what it is to me.
Yeah, it's like Kleenex.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just one of those things where the brand name becomes the name of the product itself.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend Nicorette CQ if you don't like to chew gum and would like to wear a piece of plastic on your arm.
Okay.
Hey,
it's a viable option.
There you go. Everything's in America, folks. The land of the free, home of the brave, and of nicotine gum.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned it before with Juliet leaving behind the walkie-talkie, and now Paulo leaves behind his gum. It's really weird that everybody's leaving stuff behind these days. And it's weird, I think, that he would just sort of have it on him so casually. But I guess he really wasn't thinking or something.
Mm-hmm. That's... I found it really hard to believe Juliet left her walkie-talkie.
I agree. I think it's really hard to believe that she not only, left it, but just sort of kept on going and didn't apparently return for it. Because at some point she would realize, because when you leave something, you have that idea that something should be in your hand. Like with the walkie-talkie, you would have that idea. Wait, what's going on? Oh, I left my walkie-talkie,
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point she should realize that. Now, maybe we'll get a scene, some other time or some sort of reference that, that she went back or she realized she left it and decided, like, oh, it's too far to go back to get or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see if that ever happens. And, I want to, you have to wonder, what was the purpose of him finding the walkie-talkie anyway?
I'm assuming they're going to use that in some future plot. That it's a setup for something.
Okay, I'll buy that. Because if it's just so that they can implicate that Nikki and or Apollo are working with the others, that's just sort of weak.
I agree.
So, no, you're right. It seems like a setup.
I don't know what they're going to do with it, but...
well, they could communicate. They could communicate with, the people at O-Town.
Yeah.
With that, presumably.
Well, yeah, but I don't know exactly how that's going to work. I guess that's what I mean. Like,
well, let me tell you how exactly it's going to work.
Okay.
First, no, I'm kidding.
This is spoilers, guys. So,
this is spoilers.
Cover your ears.
Cover your ears, please. No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a whole thing worked out. Okay.
No, I don't. I'm not that good.
All right.
Because there's so many things they can do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm stuck, I guess. I don't know. That's not really why I'm stuck, but never mind.
All right. Thanks, Grandpa.
You're welcome.
So again, at this point I wrote in my notes that I found it hard to believe that Nikki and Apollo never said anything about the plane or the hatch, and I think at this scene. Yeah, right. Oh, okay, yeah. They've already gone with Locke and the group to the Pearl Station. So I found it hard to believe that they wouldn't mention the hatch when they're going to the hatch. It's one thing if you find something on the island and you sort of never mention it to other people, but when they're going to that place, you think they would have mentioned something, or like, Nikki would have said, "Oh, we've been here before. We found this a while ago," or Apollo would have, because Apollo's not gonna say anything.
Apollo isn't gonna say shit.
Yeah, he's not gonna say anything because he doesn't want to get incriminated. But so anyway, I thought that was sort of weird that they have them going to did Nikki? I don't even remember now, but did Nikki even comment on the fact that the plane had fallen? I should go look at that scene again and Cost of Living. I wonder what Nikki and Apollo said about the fact that the plane had fallen.
I remember she said, Echo's brother's in that plane.
Yeah, God. I remember that too. I try to forget every day, and it's very hard to. Echo's brother's in that plane. Oh, man.
I don't know what to do.
I think we turned them into Sesame Street characters. Hi, Nikki. My name's Elmo. Let's see. Do. I'm just doing a little thing here. Don't mind me.
It's time to hold on the lost Lowdown.
Claude's looking up something so he can make a point about it. So listen to him sing while he wastes time. Doody-doody-doo. Okay, I gotta concentrate on what I'm looking for.
You're singing too much.
I'm singing too much. Okay. Okay, so anyway, in that scene in Cost of Living, okay, they come into the clearing and they see the plane on the ground, and Locke is speaking to Saeed. He says the hatch is over there by the plane. Why don't you take everybody down now? Okay, yeah, Locke is definitely. This is the second time he's been here. Okay. And so he says, and you? He goes, I'll be there in a minute. And what is Echo looking for? Blah, blah. And then Nikki says, of course, his brother's body is in that plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nikki and Paulo and Sayid go down into the Pearl Station. So at no point that we saw did they ever mention, that Nikki and Paulo ever mentioned that the plane had fallen and that they knew that the plane was at one time on the cliff.
Well, I mean, that should be sort of common knowledge. I mean, if everybody knows how Boone died, you know?
Oh, that's true.
So, you know.
Well, don't you think at least they would have said, like, is this the plane that killed Boone or something?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, given that, I think they should have said some other stuff. You know, like, been at least a little inquisitive about what's going on.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I mean, and that's the thing. I feel like Paula would have made a point that the plane fell, but of course, you know, just to rub it in. You know, and then maybe even, you know, when Boone died from that, he could have said something to Nikki at the time. See, if I would have went up there, blah blah blah. But you know, I kind of feel like they didn't really know what happened to Boone. They like knew he died and knew something happened, but I could see them not really knowing it was plane related.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're on the outskirts of everything, in terms of the flow of information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. If they knew Echo's brother was in there, I feel like they could know, but maybe they didn't.
Well, didn't they say that in this episode, though? Didn't someone mention that Echo's brother was in there in this recently in this episode? Or I should say in that episode?
I don't think anyone said it to them.
Oh, really?
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't remember. Let's see.
I mean, at some point, someone must have, but, you know, because they wouldn't just, like, know that, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they really had an opportunity to deal with Boone's death in this episode. It's interesting if they just skipped over that. Anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, they had Ian Somerhalder around. You know, they could have depicted that time if they wanted to. But they chose not to.
Well, I mean, what's there to show? You mean just like a different perspective from what was going on during that time? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Or maybe it was just maybe they did and they cut it for time like everything else. I don't know.
Well, there really wouldn't have been a reason to in terms of what's going on in these plot lines.
Yeah.
You know, it obviously would have had to been like maybe Paulo saying, finding, they find out that Boone is dying and dead, and then Paulo could have said, good thing I didn't go up there or something, but
Mm-hmm.
they would have had to service the plot somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the next scene, which Nikki, sort of a flashbacky thing. Nikki comes to Sawyer to ask for a gun. Sawyer says no, wisely. That's why there's a 5-day waiting period on gun purchases, because you don't want to buy a gun and get a gun when you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from my mistake, folks. Learn from my mistake. So Nikki walks off, and then Sawyer says, as she walks off, "Who the hell are you?" And again, as I have said before, it's really irked me that he kept consistently saying, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" When we've already got that. They've already made that point clear, so I just don't see why they keep doing that. Because at this point, I think it's just ridiculous. But anyway. Next scene, Sun confronts Sawyer about the kidnapping. And I think this scene was really funny because before we had a big group of people helping to dig the graves, and then now we've got Sawyer digging the grave all by himself. Which of course makes sense because Sun needs to confront Sawyer, preferably alone.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really interesting that for some reason he's the only one digging. All of a sudden, and then the next scene we see Hurley with a shovel in his hand as if he had been helping digging the whole time. But anyway, thought that was a weird little production continuity error, I guess. Or unless everyone took a break but Sawyer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. Sun gives him the diamonds back and sort of, tells him off, and then, to a small degree. And then Sawyer says, see, I thought I was going to get out of this without a slap.
Mm-hmm.
Which was well deserved, And although I thought it was weird the way his phrase came off, because he sort of was saying, oh, I thought I was going to get out of this without something bad happening, and then something bad happens, which I thought was weird because it seems like he should have said that after something bad happens. If that makes sense.
Oh, well, I think he was going to say, see, I thought I was going to get out of this without a lesson. And I think he was referring to her giving him the diamonds back.
Mm-hmm.
That being some sort of lesson.
Oh, without a lesson?
Yeah.
Why would that be a lesson?
A lesson about, I don't know, the fact that the diamonds are worthless.
I don't get it.
I mean, there's not much to get. The diamonds are worthless here. They have no value. They're not worth, going to the trouble.
Oh, you're saying, okay. You're saying his comment was about what Sun did. See, I thought the comment was setting up the slap, basically. But you're saying the comment was in response to, this idea that she was like the lesson of the fact that diamonds are worthless or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then. That makes sense. Yeah, that's what I thought it was, because I was thinking it was about the slap, so I thought, the thing should come first, and then he should say that,
right.
that line, and that they were reversed in my view of it. So I thought it was really weird, but okay, he's saying that because of the idea he's the lesson of the diamonds or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a comeback, oh yeah, wow, I thought I was gonna get out of you finding out without you giving me some kind of life lesson or whatever, and but in the middle of that he gets interrupted with a slap. So yeah that's anyway.
Next scene, like I said, we've got Hurley standing with the shovel in his hand like he's been working all day. I don't know. I like to think Sawyer did all the work. Maybe it's penance for his past transgressions. Yeah, I do. I like to think he cared enough to dig the graves when everyone else were off doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Hurley's giving the eulogy. He gives an appropriate Hurley eulogy that's both touching and comical, but not too much. Not too funny. Because we got to be respectful.
Yeah.
And one of my little questions here, Hurley says he loved Expose, and one of my little questions was I was wondering why he didn't seem to recognize Nikki. Of course, she was just a guest star in the show. Presumably, the episode that she was filming, that last one, aired after, the plane crash. So of course, he wouldn't have seen that episode.
Yeah.
But she was most likely on multiple episodes, and if he really loved the show, I feel like he could have seen her in at least one or two. So I thought he presumably should recognize her.
I think it's possible, but he was going through all that drama with the numbers and going to Australia to find that woman. I can see him missing a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the one she's in.
Well, if you miss any episodes, you can't really love it.
Well, I mean, we both know that's true, but
yeah,
Hurley, he's Hurley.
Yeah, it is Hurley. Jeez.
But it's just, I think it's one of those things where they didn't want him to recognize her. I don't know. Like, maybe he should have, but whatever. He didn't, so find some reason why he didn't recognize her,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Next scene, Nikki takes Apollo out into the jungle, and, she knows about the diamond. She knows he has them. And she basically says, "Hey, I found your gum. I know you found the bag, and that's where the diamonds were." And I thought at this point, he should have realized that he lost his gum, and been a little bit suspicious about what Nikki was doing, because if he thought at all that she found that, she would have known what was going on. But I guess he just left the gun behind and never thought about it again, which is weird when you sort of need it as he needed it. So Nikki throws the spider on Paolo, and he goes down, and as he's getting more and more paralyzed, she's explaining what the spider venom does, and then Nikki starts searching him for diamonds and looks in his shoe, because if I was hiding diamonds, I'd put them in my shoe. That's just a logical place. Paulo, right before he can't speak anymore, he explains that he was really scared that Nikki would leave him if she found the diamonds, and he was sort of doing it, sort of being deceitful for sort of selfish reasons. Well, I guess that is sort of selfish. I don't know.
Selfish in a different way.
Like nicely selfish.
Yeah.
Selfish with the best intentions. Like Santa Claus. Yeah, figure that one out for yourself. Whatever that means. Let's see. So, at this point, we hear a strange, familiar sound. Sounds like Smokey is lurking around, and we see several spiders coming out of the jungle. And Nikki gets bit, and she runs and hides the diamonds. And, of course, all that activity of running and digging will, of course, just speed up the process of her getting paralyzed, because the venom is going to circulate her system a lot faster. Which I think, it's just sort of an editing thing, but I think, she obviously was fully paralyzed a lot quicker than Paolo was, at least how they cut it together. So it seems to make sense anyway, because she was running and digging and being all crazy. So, and she falls, and we get, back to the one of the first scenes in the episode. She falls before Hurley and Sawyer, and we hear that she said paralyzed. And we kick ourselves for not knowing that's what she said in the first place.
Yeah. Even though if you go back and listen to it the first time, it's like not that clear at all.
Oh, of course.
It barely even sounds like it, even when you know what she said.
Yeah.
When I watched it again, I was like, it's still like, it sounds more like Paolo lies to me.
Mm-hmm.
In the original, it's just, it's different. But whatever, that's a classic thing, and I like it, even though it's kind of, whatever, used up.
So, as they're covering up the bodies with the dirt, they're filling in the grave, we get that great shot as we talked about before, with Nikki waking up, right before, or something. I don't know how the timeline really works, but her eyes open either, specifically or just, sort of mentally or something, emotionally. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Metaphysically, her third eye opens, and she's reborn. I don't know. So basically, they're buried alive. And which I didn't really like. At first I'm like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, ugh, I guess it just, to me, it's just too harsh. I don't know. It's just, I know people have been beaten to death by Smokey and like blown up and like all these other really sort of horrible deaths. But buried alive, I thought was just really harsh, and I guess I just thought it was uncalled for. I guess especially since they gave us the idea that they, that they woke up before, almost just in time. I think that sort of made it worse for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they had buried them, an hour before they would have woken up, they would have died before they would have woken up, and they would have, sort of died a somewhat peaceful death because, they really shouldn't have been able to feel any pain. So they would have just sort of suffocated to death, and that's the end. And it's, but the fact that they almost woke up and that they're buried alive, and I don't know. I guess I thought that was just too harsh, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. I found the harshness appealing. It gave it this tone, like the music they use at the end too was really like intense.
It was really creepy, intense, like yeah,
and just like perfect in Tales from the Crypt kind of ending. And I don't know, it was the whole episode had that odd tone to it, and I don't know, I was really shocked. The ending really shocked me. And so I don't know, I can see how it sort of doesn't seem to fit in with the tone of the rest of the show. And that maybe that bothers me on some level, but like as a self-contained episode, just looking at it independently, I like it. So I don't know. I guess I'm mildly torn about it, but overall, I think I liked it.
Well, that's it for the episode recap.
Yep.
What else we got?
Well, I want to throw out a couple of things from the latest official podcast.
Okay.
I was listening to that today, and just to hear it again, to make sure I tried to say everything. Unfortunately, I didn't write down, a transcript of what they said. But I'll try to paraphrase for you. So this week, no Damon, but they did have Carlton and the two writers of this episode.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it was a little change. Damon was supposedly busy or something. So anyway,
Oh, Damon.
But since Carlton was around, at least you knew somebody who knows what he's talking about was there. So
besides the people who wrote the episode.
Yeah. I mean, those guys, whatever. They know something, but how much can you trust them? I don't know.
Oh.
So what I found out, the most interesting thing about it, to me at least, was that when season 3 was starting and they were making their plans for season 3. Carlton said they were very ambitious about what they could accomplish in season 3, and it was their intention was to use Nikki and Paulo to basically to bring out the experience of the red shirts, to show us what it was like to be one of those characters during all these events. Of the major players that we've seen, how did they sort of view all this stuff? And that was sort of the fundamental idea behind Nikki and Paulo. But what he said was, that by the time they got through with the others, the initial other subplot, and they finally got back to the beach and looked at what they had to do for the season, they realized that they didn't really have time to do sort of everything with Nikki and Paulo that they had originally, envisioned. They envisioned spending more time with them than this. And so basically this episode was sort of a distillation of everything they wanted to do with them. This might have been spread out a little more in their original vision than it was. It was so sort of compact, I think they originally planned to do more with them, and so but they basically realized they didn't have time for it, and to do that and deal with the actual storyline that's going on. That's really important.
Yeah, I could see them stretching out the whole diamond thing and the finding of the bag and where are the diamonds and who has them, and I could see them stretching that out for for a little bit.
Yeah. Me too. Like even incorporating into other people's episode, like just a little part of it, and then it comes up later, and they've done that before. So, yeah, I think that's if the season were like 5 episodes longer or something, maybe we would see something like that play out. But as it is, this was pretty much what they had planned for him, but it was just kind of like condensed, into one episode because they didn't want to just like not put him in there at all, but they didn't have time to really, have it go on for too long. So it seems kind of abrupt, I think. Like, we barely knew them, in their episode, they seem to be dead within the first minute of the episode or something.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an interesting view. They basically were just a little ambitious about what they could have time to do in one season, and so so anyway, that's a little behind the scenes view of that
interesting
whole thing. course, I recommend that you go hear them say that, or Carlton say that himself. He'd probably, well, I don't know, be more interesting to listen to than me. But yeah.
Never.
So there's some other things in there too, but there's kind of a spoiler in there for next week's episode. So you might want to avoid it, or avoid the end of it at least, if you don't want to get that.
Well, what's the spoiler, so we know what not to go hear?
Well, I didn't. I mean, I'm afraid to. I guess it's not a huge spoiler. But
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah,
okay,
don't say anything.
I thought you wanted me to say it, and I was afraid.
Oh, come on.
I get scared.
I got a couple things to mention from the podcast before that. Because we're sort of podcasting late here, and that's why there's the new podcast out already.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I want to mention, Damon hints, as he does so well, that Kate's horse, Saeed's cat, Jack's dad came from the box.
You're right, yeah.
Which is very, very interesting.
Especially
specifically...
What?
Well, I was going to say specifically because none of those people, asked for those things.
Mm-hmm.
None of those people went to a location to ask for a horse or a box or a cat or, And then there, of course, is the other strangeness with Saeed's cat being, of course, Nadia,
mm-hmm.
Mikhail's cat, how that cat could have been that not only real enough to be hanging around that much, but was sort of there before Saeed got there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an anomaly in that whole thing. What were you going to say about it?
I just want to point out the prevailing theory about Kate's horse and Jack's dad and other things is that it was Smokey.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that fits in with all this, but makes me wonder.
I think whatever the box is and Smokey should be pretty related. And I think what makes it seem more like Smokey to me is that the whatever the thing is sort of disappears.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to think that in the instance of Nadia, of the cat of Nadia, that it could sort of just hang around that long. Although I do like to believe Vincent is Smokey, so maybe I don't know. But that's the thing can Smokey exist in more than one place at once?
Mm-hmm.
Because presumably Vincent's on the island, at the beach, and then Nadia the cat is, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say. Nadia the cat, yikes. Nadia the cat is over with Mikhail, so.
I sort of asked a question like that a while ago, back in season 1. They show at the end of season 1, they show Vincent, going after Walt and Michael, when they're leaving on the
mm-hmm.
raft. He sort of swims out after them and then comes back. And, really close to that scene, I think right after that scene, they hear the smoke monster, the Jack and Locke and all them, hear the smoke monster on the other side of the island. So it made me ask, whether it could pull that off or not.
Mm-hmm.
Being in more than one place at once. Which, as weird as the thing is, I don't care if it can or not. I mean, it wouldn't bother me if it did. Because it's just such a bizarre thing. Why not? Maybe there's 2 of them. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. It wouldn't bother me. I think it makes it even more strange if it can sort of do that, unless there is multiple of them, and then it's okay, well, I mean, even that's crazy too, because that's weird. That's scary. I don't want there to be multiple Smokies. The other thing that they mentioned is that Locke's attitude about the island and the others, i.e., the fact that they sort of use technology, will eventually come into play. That the others are going to sort of realize that maybe what they're doing isn't the best thing, which might mean that they will leave O-Town at some point,
mm-hmm.
Which might correlate to my which would correlate to my other crazy theory that the Losties will move into O-Town.
Oh. Wow, that'll change the show.
Hey, it's a good way to spice it up, right?
I guess so. That'd be
Change
really weird.
location.
They're all just like hanging out in the houses and like they're really not going home.
They're really not going home.
Damn.
Yeah.
Starting up a school and not that there's kids, but I don't know. I feel like they should start up a school. Anyway, sorry.
The other thing that they hinted at is that someone who died, and this is a spoiler actually. So this is
No.
this is no. I mean, it's not really a spoiler. Sort of. I mean, you don't really know what I'm gonna. I mean, what it is, who it is, but it's just sort of a general spoiler, I guess. So I just want to do a little bit of a crappy warning. That someone who is apparently dead is might not be dead. So I mean that's a weak spoiler, but still. And of course, I'd like to speculate that it's Mikhail, because we never saw anyone actually verify that he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in line to be the likely character.
Sure.
Who else could it be? I mean, they said this before the Nikki and Paolo episode too, so they're not in the running.
Right. Yeah, there's some people who think Nikki and Paolo are gonna live, but I'd like to throw my whatever. I don't know. What do you throw? My hat. I want to throw my hat in the ring that says. Does the ring say anything? Never mind. I think Nikki and Paolo are dead. So
If you throw your hat in the ring, doesn't that mean you give up? Oh, that's a towel. Throwing the towel. Okay, sorry. That's a different throwing of an object.
Yeah, you throw your hat in the ring means like you get into it, but
Because throwing in the towel, I mean, is it a boxing ring too?
yeah,
So they're both boxing ring metaphors.
I guess.
I don't know where else the towel could be. I see the towel in the boxing ring pretty
No,
easily.
throwing the towel is absolutely a boxing metaphor.
Yeah.
Throwing your hat in the ring seems like a weird boxing metaphor. I don't know how that would work. Like, that's how you challenge someone or something? I don't know.
Well, I thought throwing the hat in meant like in terms of like betting. Like, you know, you're gonna take that bet.
Oh.
Because that's sort of how you used it. With
Yeah,
whatever you said.
I was trying to use it like there were two rings, and whichever one you threw your hat in was the one you agree with. The metaphor wasn't working for me, so I had to stop. Yeah, that's what it was turning into. I think it's supposed to mean like I don't even know anymore now that I think about it.
I think that in the early 19th century, when boxing was quite popular, one who wished to challenge a boxer would throw his hat into the ring. This was probably necessitated by the crowds and noise at such events. You'd be missed if you simply tried to shout out a challenge or push your way through the crowd and into the ring. John Hamilton Reynolds wrote in The Fancy, quote, "Throw in his hat and with a spring, sorry, I can't think of the next word. Gallantly within the ring." That is obviously from 1820 and is the first recorded use of the term. Now, I also would just like to hypothesize that the phrase soon came to be used figuratively to mean, quote, enter a contest, and then, quote, to enter a political contest. Now, why I'm quoting myself, I don't know, because I'm coming up with this theory on my own. Theodore Teddy Roosevelt used it in 1912, quote, again, strangely, "My hat's in the ring," end quote. He said, meaning that he had entered the presidential race. So that's where I just, off the top of my head, think the phrase comes from.
Okay. Yeah, so the way I was using it was not quite working, and that's why I had to stop.
Yeah, okay.
Because, I was imagining, like, throwing your hat in the ring was like giving a vote or something, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was more of you know, the ring being some sort of idea, and you throw your hat in that ring, meaning you're in line with that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really, yeah. Like,
Well, shame on us for not knowing our 18th century phrases. Oh.
That was very interesting. I didn't know you were such a wealth of knowledge.
Well, I'm not. I just guessed that.
Oh.
Yeah. I did. And actually, I saw that the exact same thing is at phrases.org.uk.
Oh.
So I'm going to see what's going on there. Maybe I wrote this to them at some point and forgot
okay.
about it. Yeah, that's what I think happened. So back to Carlton and Damon. There's nothing else I have to say. I thought I had another thing, but that was all of my things about the podcast before last. But I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Question boy.
That's me.
That's you.
Ask me questions. I'm question boy. Ask me a question today.
Is that your question boy song?
I guess.
Nice.
It's a work in progress.
Please keep working. What's the deal with Nikki and her acting? Do you really think she was a real actress? Or do you think that she sort of slept her way to get that role so she could get closer to Harold? Because it doesn't seem like. She's an actress on this TV show. She had a couple episodes, which isn't too shabby. But of course, she could do a lot better with $8 million. But seems to me like she wouldn't necessarily want to give up, if acting is her passion, give up acting just because she has this $8 million. I'm just wondering what's going on there. Was she really an actress, or was that just a thing she just sort of, did? Because obviously a show like that didn't really call for like great acting skills. She didn't have to go study at great acting school university.
Where is that? Great acting.
Oh, that's in upstate New York.
Oh, okay, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it, but I guess I would say, yeah, she, based on, her actions, I'd say that she didn't really care that much about her acting career, that it was just a vehicle for her to get these diamonds.
Do you think Nikki Fernandez was her real name?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Because if I was going to plot someone's murder in Grand Theft, I wouldn't want to use my real name.
No?
No.
But you're being credited on the TV show. Okay, well.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like if she was really going to, get this job on the TV show, she would have to produce some sort of credentials with her real name on it.
Yeah, at the very least to go to Australia.
Yeah, for her passport.
Passport.
Yeah. And speaking of passport, I did want to mention this little tidbit that when we see Paulo's bag in that airport scene, he has a Brazilian passport in his bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like it basically said Brazilian passport, but it said it in Portuguese. So Passport de ao whatever de Brasilia or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
So we know for sure that he's Brazilian, or at least got a passport from there.
Yeah.
If there was any doubt, if anyone doubted, I'm looking at you, somebody. Anyway, the whole Nikki thing, of course, it doesn't really matter at this point. She's buried alive. But I was just thinking about that because they don't really go into her real backstory. They just go into a couple days or weeks before before that fateful flight.
Yeah.
So okay. I don't know. I guess I'd like to think. I guess I agree that she. Or what did you say? What was your thought?
That she didn't.
She wasn't really an actress.
She did. Yeah, she didn't care that much about the acting thing.
I think, I still think there's stuff to explore with Nikki and Paulo. I think even the little thing is how did they know Zuckerman had that, that much money? Because, he seems to be he seemed to be a director, but then he's credited for creating all these shows. So, I guess that would make him sort of a writer or some sort of producer too.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess they didn't necessarily say that he created those shows, right? They just connected him to those shows?
What did he say? I don't remember, but I can do a search.
I don't remember.
Suck. Oh dear. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yeah. Oh, it was from the paper article. English expat Howard L. Zuckerman, the creative force behind such hit shows as Expose.
Okay, so it says creative force. So he's basically the show creator, executive producer type.
I guess I would say he's something like J.J. Abrams, maybe.
Yeah, I can see him coming in and directing something, especially like the season finale.
The finale, yeah. So maybe he's that's how I would guess.
But a little thing like that, like how did they ever find out that he not only had the diamonds, but why go after him? And the fact that he is from England might tie him to Desmond and or Charlie at some point, or maybe the Widmore family. So there's still some stuff they could do with that.
Yeah. True.
Do you have anything else to go over?
I don't think so.
I have something to say that I think we were supposed to say at the beginning. To talk about the contest.
Oh shit.
Yeah. We were supposed to do it at the very beginning, and
forgot about the contest.
I'm gonna blame everyone else but me. What? Razzle dazzle.
Well, yeah, but after that, I meant to introduce who we were and say our names and stuff. But.
Yes. For those who don't know or are confused, I know Justin and I don't make it clear which voice belongs to which name, but the voice you are listening to right now is Claude. So get that in your head, so then you know. And Justin, you can go and speak, and so they can hear your voice, and that they know who's who. For good.
I'm the voice that you were not listening to just now, but rather, I'm Justin.
Nice. Generally speaking, I'm the guy who does the intro, the Welcome to the Lost Lowdown podcast 26. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's my voice, and that's Claude, so you guys can generally tell. And Justin is the guy who goes, "Hey." During the intro. He's the hey guy and answer boy. Or question boy, sorry.
Question boy, please.
Get it right.
You're answer man.
I am answer
man.
man.
Well, I'm a boy, but whatever.
Well, I don't know either.
Okay. I take a little bit of a less active role at times, but I want to mention for all you big fans, Podcast 50, I will do the intro. So
yes.
Get ready for that.
Justin has done the intro to the Lost Lowdown once before, and said he would do it. The next time he would do it would be podcast number 50. And I'm sure at the time he had no idea that we would even do 50 podcasts.
No.
But,
I was joking, but...
But I guarantee you, when podcast 50 comes, as long as we remember, Justin's going to do the intro.
Yeah, and really, I mean, as long as they have season 4, we really should get there. So you can look forward to that.
So look forward to podcast 50, guys. It's only 14 more away.
Maybe I'll even try to
I should say 24 more away.
Like be the guy who says what happens in the episode. That'd be really hard.
Oh, be the guy who rambles on about this scene by scene?
Yeah, like describes all the scenes, we usually do.
Yeah, you should do that, because I'm tired of it.
And you can be comic
bored.
Oh, you're tired of it?
Yeah. You think I want to talk that long? Jeez, what am I, talk boy? I'm talk boy and you're comment guy. There we go.
Well, at least you're the boy this time.
I'm the boy this time. I am.
Talk boy.
I think the boy is whoever gets the thing the most.
Oh, okay.
So you get the questions the most,
mm-hmm.
Because I usually ask you the questions, and then I get the answers, so that's why I'm answer man, and then I do the episode. What did I call myself? Talk boy.
Talk boy.
That sounds very emasculating. Not only am I a boy, I just talk a lot. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Put that on my business card.
Of course.
Okay, so about the contest, of course, you guys all remember our little 30 post challenge that you guys won with flying colors. We got 30 unique posts, 30 of you guys out there. And it was great. What was the final tally? We had like 156, I think, posts overall, 158 or something.
Yeah, it was 156, and then someone else came and posted, and it went up to 158. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, but that's that was a huge post count. Came down to 30 posters exactly, not including us.
Yeah.
So
Not including us.
I think one or two of you were posting more than once. But,
yeah, I think somebody was. I'm looking at you, 420 Brownie, and you, 419 Brownie. You two people should merge back into one person.
Yikes.
Yikes! I'd like to see that if you do that. I need to record it and put it on YouTube. That'd be cool. So yeah, basically you guys won, so you will get a prize, and there's been yay for prizes, because we're givers at the Lost Lowdown.
I'm turning into cheering boy.
No, you're cheering baby.
Cheering baby.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm
you're
not
the
even a
cheering
boy
baby.
anymore. I'm a baby.
Yeah, you're a baby. Sorry.
Yay.
I don't write the rules, except for that rule. I wrote that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, you guys won. You'll be getting a prize. You guys suggested a lot of good ideas for what the prize should be. Some of the top forerunners, front runners.
I like the top forerunners.
The top forerunners. I don't even know what that means.
Because forerunner is a word, but it seemed like you just meant the top four runners.
The top forerunners. Well, if I name four things, then that's what I meant.
Oh.
No, I won't name four things because there's only three top front runners.
Oh. I thought you were going to do four. And okay.
No, I meant front runners. Thanks for pointing out my ignorance. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I will be sure to return the action in kind very shortly.
Thank you, sir. Check's in the mail.
It's not a threat, it's a promise. And I keep my promises.
If you didn't keep them, they wouldn't be a promise.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't subscribe to that school of thought, thank you.
You don't subscribe to a lot of things.
I think I do subscribe to a lot of things, actually.
Yeah, well. Not enough.
What is enough?
Enough is... Okay, this has to end. I can't.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna... hey, you want to go toe-to-toe, buddy? You
No,
asked for it.
no.
You put your hat in the ring. You
I
threw your hat
did.
in the ring, and I saw your hat, and I picked up your hat, and I put your hat on my head, and I said, bring it.
I'm not withdrawing my hat from the ring.
I have your hat. You can't take your hat back. I took the hat. It's
Okay.
on my head. So what are you
Well-
gonna do? You're just gonna leave without your hat? You're gonna pull a Juliet
Yes.
and Apollo and just leave without the thing you came with?
Yes, I believe I am. I'm going to have to buy a new hat.
You will, because it's 1942 and you cannot walk around without a hat.
It simply isn't right.
It isn't right. It's not what gentlemen folk do.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No lady will ever speak to you like that.
No lady. How dare she? I think Nikki would, because she's of that ilk. She's one of the
Ooh.
lower class.
Yes.
All right, that's enough of that. Nothing
She
wrong
wears a
with
one-piece swimsuit. I mean, a two. Fuck, never mind.
Yeah, way to go. You should. You know what you should do for a living? You should write jokes. And better than that, you should do stand-up so it's live.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good. I think you're good at that.
Yeah, my thing could be I get up and, like, say the wrong word and then say, fuck. That would have been a good joke, right, guys? And then they all look at me, and then I hear crickets, and then I cry, and
And then they laugh.
then they laugh.
And then you're like, hey, look, that was my show.
Yeah, and then I become an international success,
Yep.
and then I don't know what else, because I can't make shit up, so let's move on.
Oh, by proving the point, you proved the point. That was weird. That was really weird. My head is spinning. Not literally. So, like I've been trying to say for like 10 minutes here, one of the top ideas we really like is the A to Z podcast. Basically, we pick a Lost-related topic for every letter of the alphabet and then talk about it. The other thing is for us to do a live podcast where you guys can listen in as we're recording it. Live, Lost, Lowdown, with Claude, Justin. And presumably you guys will be able to, there will be sections of that of the aforementioned live podcast where you'll be able to talk to us and give us your comments or answer some questions that we might throw out there. I think it would be a lot of fun and very interesting and very technically challenging too, to a certain degree. And so Justin and I will need to figure out how best to go about something like that. But it is a good idea. And the other idea we like is a commentary podcast where we would basically talk about an episode as we watch the episode. So those are the ideas. I guess Justin and I have decided that what we're going to do as your prize is a live podcast, right, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
So as of now, yay! There he is. A little late. The baby had his bottle in his mouth.
Yeah. The baby was occupied.
Baby was occupado. What was I saying? Okay. Yeah. So we decided we're gonna do the live podcast, and we decided we're gonna do it for next week's episode, or should I say, the episode in a couple days, which is Left Behind. So I guess we don't really know when we're gonna do it. Probably on Saturday, right? Maybe that's probably the best time.
Oh, for the live thing?
For the live.
I thought you were
podcast.
just asking when should we do the podcast. I was like, should we really plan that right now? Okay, the live one, yeah. And like, why Saturday? Why not Thursday? Yeah, Saturday's probably better for most people, right? Those of you who work, that is.
I'm looking at you, 420.
What?
Justin, I don't know why you would insinuate that 420 brownie does not work. That is very mean and insensitive.
I don't intend to suggest that just because.
Just because what, Justin? Just because what?
Just because you enjoy brownies at 4:20 in the afternoon
Yes.
does not mean that you can't hold down a steady job or raise a family.
Although I'd like to say, if you're constantly eating brownies at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you should be working if you have a job.
You brought them to work.
Brought the brownies to work? Okay.
Mm-hmm. You bake them the night before.
Of course you bake them the night before.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Of course.
You bake them the night before so you can go to work and get baked. I mean, eat your brownies.
Oh, what did you say? Oh, shit, what happened? Okay.
I slipped. It slipped.
Nothing.
Slip
I
of the
didn't see
tongue.
anything.
I didn't see it either. Did anybody see it? I didn't see it.
Oh, God.
And if you did see it, go see your local doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong if you saw what I said. Okay, so...
So, yeah, right. The point was supposed to be Saturday is a good day
Yes.
to do a live podcast.
Okay, so guys, here's the deal. Tentatively, I know you guys are all waiting for us to actually say something here. It's been like 3 hours, and you're like, God, when are they going to make a point?
Mm-hmm.
This Saturday, April 7th, is the tentative date for our podcast. Of course, go to thelostlowdown.blogspot.com to stay abreast of exactly when we're going to do it. And what are you laughing at?
Abreast.
Oh, I can't say that?
You can. I just gave you 4 points.
Oh, 4 points for saying abreast. Wow,
Mhm.
who knew?
I don't get to hear that one very often. I know it, but it's I can't remember the last time I heard a breast used legitimately.
Wow.
Legitimately.
Wow.
So, not legitimately. So, yeah, wow.
I give you 4 points for legitimately.
Good.
Now we're even. I don't know. Well, glad. Yeah, I'm glad. A breast. Yeah, it just came out. It
Yeah.
fits.
It's not a huge one, but it's just a nice. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I said, stay tuned to the website. We would obviously post, the specific details about that next podcast. The other thing we want to mention is if you are not subscribed to our Lost Lowdown feed, please do so at this time. If you listen to us from the Lost Podcast Network, you should switch over to our feed, our FeedBurner feed, which you can find the link to on our webpage. So do that because I believe after this podcast, we're not going to be on the LPN anymore, right?
That's right.
Actually, this was supposed to be the first one not on the LPN, I think. But I think we'll put this one on the LPN as the last one.
Yeah, you're right.
This will be the last one because we didn't give you a warning last podcast.
Yeah, no, forgot about it completely.
Yeah, so do us a favor and do that. There's also a new feed that you guys can subscribe to us from. Subscribe to us with. Is it from? Via? Maybe via. Maybe that's better. I like that better. And it's a new one, tentatively titled KLST 108 K-Lost 108 FM. It's a new network of Lost podcasts, and I don't know the link offhand, the feed link, so we'll post it on our website. And so if you guys want to use that too. KLST morning with, I don't know. Those things are so weird. Those promo things are always so weird.
They are.
But, okay, I think we're done.
Yeah?
What do you think?
I would tend to agree.
Yeah, I think we're done. I think this was a pretty good episode. You know, like I said, my biggest gripe was I felt the ending was a little too cruel. But I still think it was well done, well written, well played. And
Razzle dazzle.
Hey, razzle dazzle was the best thing of the episode. It will always be, Nikki will have a place in my heart for razzle dazzle.
Yeah, that might have been her peak.
That might have been. What else would you suggest was her peak? Please give me one other suggestion.
All right, yeah, that was her peak.
Okay, thank you. Because that's definitely her peak. Maybe that's what we should do too. We could do a podcast where we just we talk about like the best moments of every character.
Mm-hmm.
Because every character has had at least one really good moment.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, Claire gets points for maternity leave. You know, she gets points for being in a good episode.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she's specifically done anything great.
Herself?
You know what her peak is, I think? Her peak was when she's arguing with Christian, and, she sort of tells him off, and then she leaves, and then comes back to tell him something else. I really like that. I think that might have been the single best thing she's ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right. Like her herself, maybe so.
Yeah, her herself.
Maybe so. Because she's been involved with all kinds of great stuff. But,
yeah.
It hasn't really been about her, per se. It's really just, her baby, I guess.
The baby.
The baby. So, yeah, that was a good one. Oh, and I got some more shit to say.
You know what I just realized? Which has been really weird, is if, you know how Claire's hair was dyed black for a lot of her flashback that one episode?
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting if she kept dyeing her hair up until the point that the plane crashed. And so by now, like, her roots would be growing back, and so her hair would look really, really ridiculous. Like, it'd be, like, black and then, like, this, like, you know, a couple inches of blonde, and it would just be weird to see her like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. She stopped dyeing her hair at a very good point.
Yeah, that would have been, the transition period would have been really rough.
Yeah.
I guess she probably would have cut it short at some point.
Yeah.
To avoid that awful,
or maybe her hair would have she would have kept dyeing it on the island, like, thank God for hair dye smugglers.
Oh, God. There's enough here to last 70 years.
Oh, no. That's the thing. Dharma brand hair dye from the drop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
They could have had the...
And it's the right color.
And then that would have sparked all kinds of controversy. Did Rosinski dye his hair? Did Inman dye his hair? What's going on with that? And that would have opened a can of worms that no one wants to eat.
Mm-mm.
Wait, what?
What?
Who wants to eat worms? Remember that book, How to Eat Fried Worms?
I certainly do.
Yeah, childhood classic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's it.
Classic.
We're apparently out of things to talk about.
Yeah, probably.
We're talking about childhood books,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah, we saved that for the childhood book podcast.
we really should. We really should save save all that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Who
anything
do you
else
want to
we're
win
forgetting?
American Idol?
What?
Who do you want to win American Idol?
Who do I want to win?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. How about Kelly Clarkson? Can she
okay.
can she come back and win?
Mm-hmm.
I think she's the best.
Okay.
Out of the people I've seen, and of course I don't really watch American Idol, but I have seen it like every episode ever. No, I don't watch it. I'm not really vying for anybody, actually. You know, I'm not really sucked into it as some people might be. Some people who I might be podcasting with right now. Some people. On an unrelated note, who do you want to win American Idol?
Well, I'm glad you asked. No. In all seriousness, I don't actually have a favorite either. I just like to watch the show, and I was pretty much kidding when I asked the question, but I'm glad you answered anyway.
Of course. So there's nobody you would call in and vote for if you actually care to call in and vote?
No, not really. I'm not really blown away with anybody. I think some are better than others, but there's nobody I would really want to vote for.
Yeah.
Even if I did. I mean, like, if I had to vote, maybe I could pick somebody, but I don't know. Nobody's moving me to vote.
Well, there's some legislation in the Senate right now where every American has to vote for American Idol. So pretty soon it's gonna be law that you'll have to vote for American Idol.
Wow.
So you better figure out who you're gonna vote for, because those bills just fly through the Senate pretty quickly sometimes.
Of course.
You know.
Of course. Yeah. Now it was suggested to me that we should just talk about other shows out of nowhere. I don't know. So anyway, I just had to bring that up.
That was suggested to you?
Mm-hmm.
By whom?
Oh, I don't know. Someone who listens to the podcast.
Oh, they suggested that we talk about other shows?
Yeah, like devote like a 5-minute segment.
Oh, really? You know, it's funny you say that, because I was just thinking that this is turning into, like, Mr. Show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mr. Podcast, sorry. Not Mr. Show, because that's a different thing.
Yeah.
And why someone would suggest we spend 5 minutes talking about other shows, I don't know why they would say that, other than...
Me either. It's crazy.
It's a great
I suggested
idea.
Mr. Podcast would be the place to do that.
That is the place to do that. But whoever that person was apparently got their wish, because we definitely have been talking about other shows. And all of our lost listeners are wondering when they could stop listening to the podcast because they're busy at work. They've got their spreadsheets.
And we haven't talked about Lost for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, those cells and rows and columns really won't fill in themselves. You know.
I just have one word to say to all you Excel users. Macros.
Yeah.
they save your life.
I
Literally.
have one thing to say for all you Excel users out there. Auto width for your columns, lifesaver. If you're trying to get all your columns to be the same size, highlight the cells you want, and then go and do format cell, and then auto width. Boom, they're all there.
Wow.
That's great.
Hints and tips with Claude.
Hints and tips with Claude. Hey, I won't even charge you.
Wow. Hints and tips with Claude. He won't even charge you.
Though I will take your money if you decide to send it to me.
Oh no, it's getting too long.
Just use an acronym, which I would not want to figure out. All right, let's end the podcast.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Thanks for listening, guys, as usual. And remember, stay tuned for our live podcast this Saturday, April 7th. Definitely come and comment on our page, thelostlowdown.blogspot.com. Feel free to email us at lostlowdown@gmail.com. And thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.